Broadcasting from the heart of Hollywood, California at the Los Angeles Film School, this is Rally Point Radio. This episode of Rally Point Radio is brought to you in part by Broadcast Supply Worldwide. Broadcast gear from people you trust. You're listening to Rally Point Radio at the Los Angeles Film School. Rally Point Radio is broadcast from the heart of Hollywood at the Los Angeles Film School. We take points on current industry topics, trends, and campus life. Our unique location and support from the entertainment community has given us an opportunity to interview many industry leaders as well as the top up-and-coming students and alumni of the Los Angeles Film School.
Tonight on Rally Point Radio, our guest will be writer-director Kevin Smith, the CEO of Hitman Records, C. Michael Bray, and actor Kevin Major Howard, who you may know as Rafterman from the classic movie Full Metal Jacket. Also, current student and president of the Student Veterans Association, Los Angeles Film School Chapter George Ohan will be featured in our Student Spotlight segment, and in our Alumni Spotlight segment, Andre Andrews, president of BIT, Vets in Technology. I'm Art Holmes, producer and head writer here at Rally Point Radio, and I will be on hosting duties for the evening. As this is our introductory show, I figured it would be really super boring to just have me talk about my own history and how I came to be at the Los Angeles Film School, since I already have myself talking about my background in history to writer-director Kevin Smith. This is actually from last year. I was part of Kevin Smith's Film School Fridays, in which he did an entire semester's worth of podcasts here, featuring the best and the brightest students that the Los Angeles Film School has to offer, and I was fortunate enough to be a part of that. So I'm going to start this show off by playing my contribution to Kevin Smith's Film School Fridays. Take it away, Kevin Smith.
Welcome to Film School Fridays. I'm Kevin Smith. Okay, kids, so as we have been for a while now, we're conducting our Film School Fridays at one film school, man, the Los Angeles Film School, right here on, what is it, Sunset or Hollywood?
Sunset Boulevard.
Sunset Boulevard. I always get those two confused. And you'd think I'd memorize them correctly because the trannies are on the one street, and that's the street I'm always on. Fantastic campus they got right down here in the heart of Los Angeles, across the street from the Cinerama Dome, for heaven's sakes. Every film school should be across the street from a movie theater, I believe. And so it's fantastically located. We've been sitting down with the kids over the course of the last few weeks, and I say kids, of course, because I'm a middle-aged old man of 42. Most of these cats they're young to the game. They're fresh meat, if you will, to the charnel house that is film. And what we've been doing is sitting down and having conversations and kind of trying to illuminate a bit of the process as I exit the room. I'm almost done making films for the movie theater, so it's nice to be able to kick back in a non-competitive headspace and be like, here's the benefit of everything I learned. You want to know how I made Cop Out, kids? This is how I did it. Stuff like that. Impart words of wisdom and things pitfalls that perhaps the youngsters can look out for as they head out into their journey of making their own stories, making their own storytelling, and making their own film. So Film School Fridays is us sitting around bullshitting about film. We're going to meet 5 students who are students right here at Los Angeles Film School. They're going to tell us what it's like here, and they're going to ask some questions. No holds barred. You guys can ask anything you want. Believe me, I don't think there's anything left you can ask me that hasn't been asked, with the exception of how much do you weigh? That's the only question I'll keep for myself. Thank you. But everything else you could ask away. There's no ceiling and whatnot. I don't have any sort of limits. Over to you, sir. How are you? What's your name?
I'm good. I'm Artie Holmes. I'm a bachelor student here for the Entertainment Business Program.
What is that? Now explain that.
Basically, they teach you the business side of entertainment.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know they had that.
I am in, it's an 18-month program. I'm in month 4. So far I've done classes like entertainment marketing and leadership and management principles. So
what do you think of it so far?
It's pretty good. I mean, I got really fortunate because it started right when I was pretty much in the middle of my recording program, because I got my associates here from the recording arts program.
Right.
So I was like, I got to keep my momentum going at this place. And that was perfect.
Nice. And you're smart, too, man. It pays to get educated about the business side of show business.
Absolutely.
So how long you been here?
I started the recording program in August of 2011, and then I started the bachelor's in March of this year.
And when do you finish your bachelor's?
September of next year.
Right on. So you'll almost have 3 years here when you're all said and done. And it's been worthwhile. Where'd you come from originally?
I was born in Janesville, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And then to very southern Wisconsin, and then I lived in northern Illinois, a place called Belvedere.
Okay, I've heard of Belvedere.
I was about 10, and that's where I graduated high school from.
Right on. And then, so did you come out here for the school, or were you out here already?
It was a long process to get here. I mean, I'd been in Wisconsin and I graduated, and I grew up loving film and got into a factory job and kind of that normal sort of life.
So you had the dream, and then you were like, well, there's the dream, and here's reality. And reality is like,
this is Illinois, and this is what you do. And so the first time I saw Clerk, that's like, that's why I related to it so much. It's
you're like, holy shit.
How am I going to get out of this pit?
Right. How long did it take you to get out of the pit?
So I was there 3 years, and then I went into the military.
Okay. Another one. Jesus. This is the pathway to film school is the military.
Especially,
guys.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Especially in the bachelor's program, a lot of military.
I'm not.
That one guy's like, I ain't with these guys.
Fuck these guys.
4 to 5.
I served myself. Wow. All right. So you did military how long?
4 years out at Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
And then you got out and you said, fuck it, film school.
Not so much. Not yet.
Okay. Then what happens next?
I get out, did 4 years honorably, and then I went back home. And there's like another 9 years of just trying to get a normal, ordinary life. And it's like, I am not wired for this at all. It's not working out. So I had an opportunity to come out here, and I just took it.
Look at you. So how old were you when you made
So I was 35.
Good for you, man. Fuck, that is a quiet sort of heroism that's uncelebrated, man. To be 35 and like, fuck it, I'm switching. I'm gonna do a wash of the deck.
It's not gonna happen.
Bingo, dude. It'd be like 10, 20 years before you'd realize that, like, oh shit, I should have took that shot. Then the more you think about it, the more life just gets.
Because I thought a lot about the 9 years that I spent after the military, and it was like, I don't think I would have had the headspace to come out here at that time.
Right.
I had to know exactly
when it's meant to happen.
I had to know exactly what I was leaving behind, because I would have been like, I wasn't prepared for this. And
it's true.
So by the time I got out here, I was laser focused.
Nice. That's the thing, man. They send kids to school when they're kids, and when you're a kid, you're so preoccupied. How can you ever get any fucking straight thinking done? It sounds like that by the time you're like at age 35, I knew exactly what I wanted.
Yes.
So you were able to hone in on it.
Because I was following that path really well in high school. I was doing mixtapes on cassette and passing it to my friends, and they're saying, this is really good stuff. You should do AV Club. And then I did that, and it's like, after high school, it'd be really cool to get into a TV news station kind of an environment. And it's like, it didn't happen. And then what are the opportunities, and getting sucked into that.
Right.
And then you get in the military, and it's like, I bet this is what being in the film industry is like. And it's surprising that it's already been talked about.
It's very much.
And how similar that I'm imagining it probably could be, and that I might be able to do this.
Yeah, why not you? Again, like, it comes down to like other people, and the people who are doing it's not like this motherfucker was birthed from an egg from space. Zack Snyder's story is it may not be like I went to the military, but it's very similar in as much as I liked movies, and I figured like maybe I could do that. And he started with commercials and stuff, and segued over to fucking Man of Steel eventually. So, all of us, it used to be this preconception I had where you were born into the business and somebody gave you the job and handed it down to you like Excalibur, but it's full of people who got in through long, weird, winding paths, but all of them share the same thing of like, why not me? Maybe I could do this. That's a big difference.
Yeah, it was interesting when I first started here, because I wanted to do the film program, and the tuition for it, I couldn't get it all covered. But they were like, well, you can do the recording program. And it's like, I did do mixtapes, and I was like really big in the audio, and I'm the guy who has the surround sound system back home, and okay, I'll do that, and it's my way in.
It's your sound geek way in.
And then it's like the bachelor's program started up, and it's like, oh, I can continue my momentum that I built up here. And then I just started an internship with What's Trending, which you've
been on that show. Yeah, I know them very well. They're cool people.
And I just been on that for a couple of weeks, and you go there, and it's like, was that Gilbert Gottfried? He was on yesterday, and I just missed him. So,
oh my God,
it's
that's
like
cool.
To go from Illinois to this is just,
you never see Gilbert Gottfried in Illinois.
No. Even like the tourists who come out here hoping that, maybe we can go to a Craig Ferguson or something and kind of get an experience. But this is so much better to actually live out here.
To live here on the campus of Los Angeles. Nicely done, man. All right, so what's on your mind? What can I answer? What can I illuminate?
So what I'm wondering is what I like to call the African child paradox.
Okay.
From Get Him to the Greek.
Get Him to the Greek.
It's like when you're in this situation where, especially here, as we screen movies all the time, and I'll go, oh my God, that was horrible. But in the Midwest, you can talk about it. But here, you don't know who you're sitting next to.
Right, yeah, there's people.
So it's like you kind of be quiet. But sometimes you'll have the Q&A afterwards with the people who made it.
Yeah.
And I remember last year they screened Warm Bodies.
Okay.
And I didn't like it, but I realized it wasn't I wasn't the target audience.
You weren't a tween girl that they were making
exactly.
it for. Right.
So the lead actress was here doing the Q&A. I'm thinking, oh, please don't come up to me and ask me what I thought about it.
Right.
So my question is, how do you deal with something that you didn't like, but you don't want to offend the person that might be a part of it?
That's something I kind of learned over time. When I first got in this business, I did an interview with Film Threat magazine where I talked about comic book movies. This is 1994.
That's when I graduated high school.
There'd only really been the Batmans at that point.
Yeah, Tim Burton's
shitty Captain
Batman
America.
and the old Captain America and also the Fantastic
They had the
Four that was
Flash. I
made
used to
from
be a
Miller.
big fan of the Flash TV show.
But it was, they were talking about what would you like to do? And I was like, oh, I love Daredevil. I would do Daredevil movie. I said, but, Chris Columbus is apparently, he was attached to do a Daredevil movie at that point.
Home Alone, wow.
Yes. And so I ripped into Chris Columbus and called him a hack and fucking, he's got no business touching a Daredevil movie, all that, fucking 20-something stuff. I got a call from my agent. I was at CAA at the time. She's like, did you say all this stuff about Chris Columbus and Film Threat magazine? As if Film Threat was People magazine. As if it was like, it's all over the fucking town. But there was no internet yet either. I mean, not the way that it is now. It was the early fucking Al Gore type of internet where only a few people had it and shit. So it wasn't like you could read this everywhere. You really had to, and Film Threat was like, they had a circulation of maybe 25,000 or I don't know, maybe in the 90s. 100,000 or something like that, but it wasn't like on every newsstand. Somehow she fucking knew, and I found out how she knew. It was because Chris Columbus read it and was like, why is this guy saying this shit about me? Isn't he a CAA client? And so she called me and she's like, Kevin, you have to write an apology letter to Chris Columbus. And I was like, let me say, I was 24, almost 25 probably at that point, and I was like, are you shitting me? And she's like, yeah, he's repped here as well. You got to write an apology letter. And I was like, okay. And so I had to write this kind of like, sorry I said shit about you and Film Threat. I liked the Goon. No, did he write the Goonies? There was Gremlins. I liked Gremlins. Like I was reaching back in his body work to be like, I liked your work, blah blah blah. And I remember being so resentful of like, why the fuck? I eventually left CAA because I was like, because they asked me to write another apology letter. A few months later, we were doing casting for Mallrats. And I was, I guess it was Entertainment Weekly. I was doing some interview, and they were like, "How's casting going?" I was like, well, I want to cast the people I like, but like studios got weird ideas. They gave us this cast list. It's got Mike Myers on it, Ethan Hawke. And of Ethan Hawke, I said, the dude's like 40. And they wrote in parentheses, really, he's 30. So, so I got called by my agent again. She's going, did you say the shit about Ethan Hawke? And I was like, what did I say? I said he was like 40 and gets offered a lot of jobs. My point was, at that point, Ethan Hawke was in every other fucking movie and shit. So I was just like, I'm just saying he works a lot and whatnot. And they were like, well, he came across really badly, so you got to write him an apology letter. So I sat down, I had to write Ethan Hawke an apology letter. And then I was like, fuck this, man. It's like being in high school. I wound up going to another agency. So that was when I was young, and I was like, I want to be able to say whatever I want. I don't care whose feelings it tramples on. Then you make some movies that people shit on, and then you learn pretty quickly that you're like, oh, it doesn't feel good when people fucking keep it real and, go out of their way to tell you how powerful they feel against your work or something like that. That's only trial and error. And now there's some people who are Teflon. They're like, I don't care. You can tell me how much you hate my shit. It's not going to stop me from telling you I hate this, and that, and that. But me, I'm a little more, I was raised Catholic and fucking went to Catholic school and got, that moral barometer hammered into me from a young age, not by a priest, but by my parents. And that sounds dirty too. But just the idea of like, do unto others as they would do unto you, the golden rule kind of thing. So I came by that by way of pain. Like that interview I did about Chris Columbus was in an issue of Film Threat that was celebrating Mallrats, which hadn't come out yet. When Mallrats came out like a month later and took a big shit on the carpet, who was the dickhead? Me, the guy who was like, Chris Columbus is a hack who can't make a fucking movie. And Mallrats comes out and tanks. So trial and error. You get to a place where you're just like, oh fuck, like I don't want people saying this shit about me, so I guess I won't say this shit about him. Now that's publicly though. Doesn't mean you can't privately be like, that fucking sucks. Like that's I got married just so I can turn to somebody and be like, didn't that suck? Am I crazy or did that suck? That was horrible. You keep it to yourself or amongst your friends, but you just have to be careful. You have to remember, moment, especially now, fucking digital tail follows us through all time. The moment you put it in print, and when we say print, we mean, of course, online, it'll chase you forever. I said shit about Paul Thomas Anderson back during Magnolia that like just last year people were like, did you say about Paul Thomas Anderson about Magnolia? I was like, yeah, years ago, but yeah, I did. It'll come back. So you gauge that. Now if you're one of these people, it's just like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care what kind of mess I make, then by all means. Like, everyone loves to watch that person. Everyone loves to watch the person who's like, I don't care whose feelings I hurt. This fucking blows. Like, that person gets read. That person gets watched. We love negativity. We love schadenfreude. We love to hear somebody shitting in the mouth of another movie, man. Even a movie we love. It's weird how we just want to, sometimes it makes us want to defend, but sometimes it just makes us feel better about ourselves. Where we're like, yeah, he ain't all that. It's a way to kind of manage your feelings about yourself somehow.
Yeah, because I was just watching an interview like 10 years ago with Vincent Gallo on Howard Stern and during the Richard Ebert thing.
Yes.
And I was like, I admired the guy because he's so honest in his feelings.
Earnest, like, altruistic.
Like, wow, how can you do, like, how many bridges are you burning saying all this stuff? You admire it, but it's almost like you wish you could do that too.
Yeah. It's tricky, man. It's some people will be like, well, don't be such a pussy, man. Say what's on your mind. But like, the whole world is not always inviting you to say what's on your mind. Sometimes people do. Sometimes, like in my case, magazine or website will be like, what do you, like right now, all I'm getting is like, what do you think of Man of Steel? Because I've talked about Superman and stuff like that. So I'm going to see Man of Steel tonight and hope to Christ that the conversation could be like, oh, it fucking blew my socks off and shit like that. Otherwise, I'll find a very democratic, egalitarian way to be like, I'm happy any comic book movie exists or something like that. Try to say something fucking positive, especially because in the case of like the trailers I've seen on Man of Steel, even if the movie blows, everything I've seen, I could never do myself. And I'm a filmmaker. I've been doing it for 20 years, and I know people can get shit done. And still, I look at it and go, like, I can't do that. I got no business telling this motherfucker he didn't do his job right. That being said, everything I've seen looks fucking phenomenal.
Amazing.
I was listening to your
most watched movie trailer in history.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is that? They just announced it, really?
Trailer 3, I think.
The one that was like with the exploding krypton that begins with the piano, or the Zod,
like the spider thing.
Really?
Yeah, the one where they first showed
Superman
that.
was like in the ocean or the water.
Yeah, and he's oh shit. I'm a Batman guy, and I wasn't like amped for Superman, but like for Man of Steel. But when I started seeing shit, I was like, Jesus, they may have cracked the fucking code.
Well, I just listened to your review of Dark Knight Rises, and you compared it to a movie that when I went out of there, I was like, I think I just watched Rocky 3.
Yes.
So I was amazed that you made that comparison.
That and Good Will Hunting. That was the one I walked out of there going like, oh my God, they literally stole a scene from Good Will Hunting.
That was like totally Rocky 3 for me.
It was Rocky 3. All right, man. That's it. That's what we do on Film School Fridays, man. We sit around and talk. We're going to wrap up and say goodbye to everyone. As we do that, tell them your name again. Tell them what you're going to major in, what you're doing right now, and tell them where they can follow you, reach you, Facebook you, Twitter you, and whatnot. As we all know, social media is so very important in this business, as you know, based on the course that you're taking. Hit them up. Go ahead.
I'm Ian Gross. I'm a screenwriter, and you could reach me on my Facebook, Ian Gross. There you go.
Right on. Over to you, sir.
Ralph Xavier Fergoni.
There's that cancer cure name right there.
I'm also a DJ, so if you Google Ralph X, you'll find me. Nice. But it's ralphx.com or facebook.com/DJXAIO is my artist page.
Over here, sir.
Artie Holmes. I'm a bachelor student here at the LA Film School, majoring in producing and working over at What's Trending, so be sure to check them out. 12:30 on YouTube Live. And I can be reached at Art Holmes on Facebook.
Nicely done. How do you spell Holmes? H-O-L-M-E-S?
H-O-L-M-E-S.
There it is. You've just been listening to The Future Cinema, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to know, as I kind of head out the door, that there are people that pick up the gauntlet and go run with it. And these cats are going to be telling their stories for the next, 20, 30 years, man. So check in on them from time to time, watch their journey and whatnot. You got to hear them early on. You'll be able to say, I knew them when. That's Film School Fridays. So this week, again, we thank our gracious hosts at the Los Angeles Film School. I always stutter on the name. Is that what they call it? Just the Los Angeles Film School? It's so big, it seems like it would have a grander name, but it says it right on Los Angeles Film School. It's exactly what it is. Yeah, or one day there'll be Los Angeles Film University.
I was at Amoeba one day.
It's better
I
with
saw
branding.
the
Simpler is better usually.
Let's go there.
What are you saying about Amoeba?
Oh, I went to Amoeba when I first moved here, and then I saw the building across the street because I knew I was going to go to school, but I didn't really know where.
Right.
And I was like, I must go there.
And there it was.
It was like all about location for me.
It is. It's a really great location. Again, hats off to any film school that's right across the street from a multiplex and from one of the best movie theaters on the planet. I've never seen a movie at the Cinerama Dome. It's really, really nice.
And they screen older movies there all the time. Like I just saw the Tim Burton Batman there. Good Batman.
Did they put it up on the big screen? Oh, man, I wish I would have seen that. I haven't seen that on a big screen since '89, I guess. All right, now we're getting all geeky and wet for movies again. That's what it's all about. So there it is, kids. Film School Fridays. Thanks for listening, man. Go out and make some art and cut.
Rally Point Radio is a production of the Los Angeles Film School's chapter of Student Veterans of America. Student Spotlight.
All right, welcome back to Rally Point Radio. I'm Art Holmes, and I'm here with George Ohan. How are you doing, George?
I'm always loving life, sir. Thank you.
How long have you been into the school now?
I graduated the film program, and I ended up working for the school for about 12 months, and I recently had resigned that position, and I've currently started back up in the bachelor's degree program for entertainment business. So around the school for close to about 3 years now.
When you started, what's it like being a student here and then actually working here? Because you worked in the military services department, so I'm kind of wondering what kind of did in that department and making that transition.
I really felt the love, and what I did originally was I had to separate that I was a student going into being an employee, because I kind of knew everybody already as a student, and then going in as an employee, you have to perform, you have a job now, so you have to go through and do your thing. But what I did was I never stopped seeking knowledge. I was at the Los Angeles Film School, I was in Hollywood, I'm in Los Angeles, and all of these great filmmakers, directors, producers, business people, entrepreneurs, they're all around me. So I just kept picking their brains and kept growing professionally the whole time I was on campus.
Now, where are you originally from?
I was originally born in Aleppo, Syria. My family's Armenian, and then we ended up moving, and we came here to Hollywood, not too far from here, actually. Over on Normandy and Sunset is one of the first places that we lived before moving up to Madera, California, in the valley, in the Central Valley.
So when you moved here from Armenia, how old were you?
When I moved here, I was about almost 2 years old. I was just a little baby. Yeah, I was just a little baby. We just got here. It was 1981. My family came here and started our new life here in LA.
So you're also a military vet, and I'm wondering why the military?
That's kind of a funny story. I walked in, I joined the Army, and I was active duty for 8 years, but I had originally walked into the Marine Corps recruiting station, and I was a fat high school kid. I walk in with a big old belly, and the guy's like, "You ain't going to be a Marine? Look at you. You're a fat boy." And I was just like, "Okay, well, that's not cool." So I walked next door, and Air Force had already gone home for the day, of course. The Navy recruiters were fatter than I were, so I was like, well, maybe not there. And then I saw the Army guys, and I walked in there and talked to one of the sergeants, and he said, "Hey, tomorrow you meet me at 1600 hours right here in front of the recruiting station, and we'll start doing some PT. I'll take you running." I didn't think he was really serious, but I'm sure he didn't think I was serious. So I showed up at 1600, and that was kind of the beginning of it. He mentored me, and he took me out. We did physical training. I ended up losing about 35 pounds. I joined the Army, and from there it was just it was a wonderful ride. I really, really enjoyed my military service.
And what do you consider to be some of your prouder accomplishments in the military?
Some of the most proud moments in the military was when I got promoted to sergeant. I was 20 years old. I got promoted very quickly. But at that moment, I'd also mentored about close to 10 soldiers to being Soldier of the Year, Soldier of the Month, Soldier of the Quarter. So what I would do is I would teach the younger enlisted men on how to get right, how to make your uniform straight, what to say to the sergeants, what not to say to them, what type of military things they should be studying, and how they should respond at these boards. And so I was really on this quest to make the super soldier. And to me, that was just a huge accomplishment, because I felt like all the things that the lower enlisted guys would complain about, I tried to fix as a sergeant. So I was that guy that was trying to save the world within my own platoon. And then myself, I did win Soldier of the Year and things like that at different locations, places that I was at. So just things like that. It was really the relationships and the bonds that I built within the military is what I'm really proud about.
Because you were a recruiter, I think, right?
Yes. That was recruiting was a damn fun time. I didn't think you were going to bring that up, Art.
We can always edit it out.
No, we can leave it. It's fine. United States Army Recruiting Command. That was very interesting. It was after 9/11, so you had the guys that were gung ho, like, "Oh, sign me up right now," but you're like, dude, you're kind of a little bit on the crazy side, and I'm going to be a leader, I'm going to be an officer, and I want to be in charge of everybody. Or you had the guys that were just, no way, no how, forget this, I will never talk to you, and they didn't have such nice things to say to recruiters. But the recruiting command, I'm grateful for, because they gave me a lot of my entrepreneurial and business and marketing type skills that I'm certainly using in Hollywood today.
Where were you stationed at when you were recruiting?
When I was in recruiting, I originally came here to the Inland Empire, to a city called Upland. After Upland, I became one of the top recruiters for the recruiting company I was working at. They gave me my own station, and I became the station commander for Huntington Beach Recruiting Station, which I was the commander for the U.S. Army's recruiting efforts for 72 square miles of Orange County. And that was a crazy time. I got promoted again. I went to being the company operations trainer, and I would train about 300 Army Army recruiters on recruiting tactics in Southern California.
And how do you feel when you started working at the LA Film School? Were you pretty much kind of doing the same thing with recruiting?
I had to reach into my inner recruiter to really bring out some of those old networking skills. It wasn't so much about recruiting itself, but it was how to build a relationship, how to follow up with people, the proper times to follow up with people, the proper amounts of time to do it, the type of information to gather when you're speaking with somebody, how to ask properly, to use a location for an event. Just a lot of the skills that I did learn, I got to bring them back here to the Los Angeles Film School, and I'm sure that's similar with everybody. Anybody that's listening right now, I don't care if you work at McDonald's, I don't care if you're sweeping up the sidewalk, whatever, that skill, that experience, whatever you're doing right now, I guarantee you will be able to use it for the future, not for exactly what you're doing with it right now, but what you learn from it.
So there's a lot of programs here at the school, and you were in the film program. I'm wondering why you chose film.
Great question. I really love marketing. I really love branding, this type of entrepreneurship, building small businesses, building companies, social media. And every time I would help a business or somebody with a product or a service, the thing that was always missing was HD content. And it's so expensive, to get video, to get photography the proper way, market it the proper way, get it out there with the SEO, the search engine optimization stuff. And so I figured if I'm going to go to an entertainment type school, then I definitely want to be the guy that can be self-contained. I want to learn the things why my clients say no. My clients are saying no because they can't afford a certain part of what the package is. So I had to just go learn that skill to be able to include that into my consultations with small businesses or entrepreneurs.
And you feel that's kind of the same mentality you went into with the business program, kind of continuing with that mindset and building your momentum in your network and...
It's funny you bring that up because that's exactly the mindset that I went into it with. After I researched the instructors for the business program while working here, it was a no-brainer. I had to go to that program.
Yeah, because Hal Lieberman, it's like,
oh my goodness,
you look at his bio and it's like, okay, yeah, this
that's
is
right.
the place to be.
You look at the head of the program. You bring up a terrific point. If this is the guy that's in charge, he's an intelligent guy. He's great, highly successful here in Hollywood. He's going to hire the right people. So the instructors that are now teaching me how to do business in Hollywood work here in Hollywood. So it just made perfect sense. It was really a no-brainer.
It's like they've got executive studio experience, a lot of entertainment lawyers in this program. So yeah,
I love that. I love the fact that there are a lot of attorneys because they've dealt with all the different clients
and contracts and negotiations.
Yes,
and
yes.
all this stuff and how to market a product to all these high people in the industry.
That's right. That's right. How are you enjoying that part, by the way?
I'm loving it.
You too?
I just did the interview with C. Michael Bray, that's coming up later in the
Hitman
show.
Records?
Yeah. So
awesome! I can't wait to hear it. I definitely want to hear that segment.
Yeah. So he's got a lot of history in his class. What month are you in right now?
Right now, I'm currently doing business ethics and responsibility.
Because he teaches month 10, and his final, he breaks down what you do, and it's just one of those things where you go, okay, this was the right decision for me.
Great.
Now, talking and then explaining all the opportunities that we have here with the instructors, what do you feel as far as the student coming in, what their mindset should be? Because I see students here, and it's like, I don't know if they, are going about it the right way, or they're burning bridges that they're not supposed to be burning, or it's like the people that they're putting down are going to be passing them going up, and it's like, man.
I totally understand where you're coming from, and it's not just here. This is a lot of campuses. I used to visit all the campuses as a community outreach officer and as the military transition officer. I've been all over, and the mentality really needs to change from high school. You're not in high school. You're not trying to be the coolest kid anymore. It's okay to be a dork. There's a bunch of us around here. There's a bunch of geeks running around. It's a film campus, but you have to stay focused on what is the ultimate prize. What is your goal? I think a lot of people are missing the part where they set a goal, and that's how you stay focused. Your competition is not the guy to your left and to your right inside of a film program. Your competition is F. Gary Gray, Steven Spielberg, James Cameron. If you want to be a director, any one of these guys, that's your competition. The standard, the bar has already been set. So you don't have to regress and come back and try to compete with another film student. And I see a lot of that going on. So I hope people would just really take a step back and instead of being the soldier in the foxhole, act like you're the general and look at the entire battlefield and assess the situation for your plan to success.
You had the opportunity to go to the Cannes Film Festival this past year. Tell me about that experience and how that all came about.
Yes, the Cannes Film Festival did that last year, 2013, and Whole 'Nother Level was the film that Bruce Gordon, my director, had written and directed. We put that thing together here at the Los Angeles Film School. As a producer, I really find myself gravitating more towards the serious drama genre type films, and with Whole 'Nother Level, that was no exception. The logline of this film is, just because a person has a disability, that doesn't mean he or she doesn't have all the same kinds of desires, hopes, and dreams as everyone else. And it basically deals with a young man that has cerebral palsy, and he's about to get kicked out. He's going to turn 18 years old, and he's going to have to go live in a group home type scenario. And that's what the film covers. It talks about a very serious issue that I don't feel like most people would address or make movies about, because it's about a person with a physical handicap, and you don't necessarily see these people that are living with handicaps as being the hero in a movie or being portrayed as a normal person. And frankly, they are normal people. They have the same dreams, they have the same aspirations, they do think the same way as everyone else, but they have a physical handicap. So that was the reason behind choosing this film and really wanting to produce it and really making it come to life, is I want everybody to have a voice, especially in that handicapped community as well. It was by no easy stretch of the imagination that this thing came together, because the night before we were actually about to shoot this film, we lost all of the permits and insurance and everything. We didn't have it squared away because the city of Downey ended up telling us that they need a $2 million policy instead of the $1 million that we had good to go. So that night, we ended up booking another studio in North Hollywood. We had to get the cast, the crew, everybody, and pretty much get these guys to move over from Downey to North Hollywood and make sure that we were going to go shoot. And then what happened was we showed up on set, and it was just that. It was an empty set. So we had a mansion in Downey, and we went to an empty set in North Hollywood, and we had to build that set that day. We lost a day of shooting. We had to make adjustments to the script. And it was not one of these things that everything was all in order. You know, it was one of those projects that as soon as everything went wrong, we knew we still had to shoot. There was no turning back. So we just kind of gathered the troops and said, hey, this is our situation. This is what happened. And this is what we need to make happen. And at that point, we lost a few crew members, actually. They thought it was unprofessional. They thought it was whatever they thought, and they didn't want to be a part of the project anymore. So be it. But since then, after our shoot, we've been really pushing the marketing portion of it, and really a credit to Bruce Gordon. I mean, he really did a lot of the work on this. But we followed up, and we got this thing to the Cannes Film Festival. We went to France. It was terrific, just a networking opportunity, meeting people there. Everyone that I met, the people that I got cards from, the exchanges that I made, I'm still in contact with them. They're a very serious group of people if you meet people at a place like that, just like the film market in Santa Monica and everywhere else that you have to be for distributors and buyers and sellers. This film has been catching a little bit of success. You could go to the wholenotherlevel.wix.com to check it out, but we went to the Cannes Film Festival, to the short film corner called Court Metrage. After that, we got Jagran Film Festival in India, hitting Mumbai, New Delhi, Agra, all these different cities. Picked up 3 different international video on demand distributors for the film, and recently also picked up the Hollywood and Vine Film Festival for Best Visual Effects and Best Music in a Short Film. We are making a little bit of noise with this project. At the end of the day, you can't make too much money off of a short film quite yet. We're still trying to put our finger on the distribution platforms for this new media. However, it does get you into a lot of places, it does get you a lot of meetings, get you to shake a lot of people's hands, and just starts up that initial connection. And really now we're in the follow-up phases. Can we follow up with these contacts? Can we follow up these connections and really make something of them? So that's where we're at right now with a Whole 'Nother Level film that we produced here at the Los Angeles Film School.
All right. Thank you, George. We're going to segue now into the valedictorian speech, which you did on location. Every month, the way the Los Angeles Film School is set up is every month we're doing a different class. So every month we're having a graduation. We're going to make it a habit to actually be talking to valedictorians on graduation day. And George was fortunate to come in last month as a producer, and he interviewed
Vartanyan.
And you know him pretty well. I was thinking maybe you could explain kind of who he is, the mentality he came in with, why he deserved getting valedictorian.
Actually, it was an exciting time for me to be there to record that. I didn't think Vartan was the valedictorian. I mean, I guess nobody knows until the day of or something like that. And so when I heard that, I was like, whoa, that's my buddy, yeah. And he is currently a producer. He came here from Armenia and started producing for US Armenia Channel here in Glendale, California. He does a bunch of stuff. This guy does not miss a day of class. He's got children. He's married. married. He has a full-time job, and he comes full-time college. He's one of the international students and now living in Los Angeles. So the epitome of no excuses is this guy. He's such a hardworking guy, very, very close attention to detail on his projects. And I couldn't be more proud to have interviewed him at the time of his highest accomplishment here at the LA Film School.
Great. So we're going to go to that interview now. Thank you, George.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Art.
You're welcome.
Okay, sir, tell me your name.
Vartan Vartanyan.
Tell me, what do all these ribbons mean? What is this? How do you feel right now? What's going on here?
I feel fantastic good. One is for science in a film, and one is in honors.
So I see the valedictorian necklace here.
That's
You're,
right.
you're the valedictorian of your graduating class here. Is that true?
With the 4.0, yes, GPA. I'm proud to be valedictorian, definitely.
What was your favorite part of the Los Angeles Film School?
The favorite part is network, communication with the people, relationship with the people, getting connections, and definitely learning a lot of cool skills.
Okay.
And practicing.
What do you plan on doing now that you've graduated, you're moving on? What's your next step?
The next step will be to challenge myself and try put me in a correct spot in the film industry. And definitely, I love to start, but I can't start from the top. I have to start from the bottom, but I'm committed to start, and I know how to go up.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
You're listening to Rally Point Radio at the Los Angeles Film School.
Hello, Mr. Byron, Mr. Joe Byron. How are you today?
I am well, Art, and yourself?
Pretty good. You are the Director of Student and Alumni Engagement at the Los Angeles Film School.
Yes, I am.
And describe for me a typical day for Joe Byron.
I like to think of myself as a student advocate. So my day is normally filled talking with students, helping either students with problems which aren't necessarily academic, problems that may not have to do with financial aid, but problems that may have to do with motivation, or problems that may have to do with interest, or with looking ahead, or career advice, or things of that nature. I feel like I have the greatest job here at the school because my job is totally positive. Everything I say, everything I do is about trying to improve or help someone, specifically our students and our grads. I spend a great amount of time, and it's something that I've always been passionate about, and that is following and communicating with the graduates of the various programs, specifically film, because that's where I started, and keeping track with them, monitoring their progress, maintaining a relationship with them, and trying to find a way to offer more and more resources from the school to help them with their careers and help them to be successful.
I want to talk a little bit about business and with the Alumni Association, because you were really trying to put that thing together for a few years.
And more than a decade plus.
I want to know, because I am in the business program, how you managed to finally last year pull this thing off.
I don't know. I mean, I had an idea in terms of how to put the Alumni Association together back in the year 2000. In fact, I have the original memo that I sent out, who were about to be new grads and some of the faculty and administrators at that time. And I suggested exactly how to do it. And there was step-by-step thing in terms of having meetings where you discuss ideas, and then putting together a charter, and then making suggestions and who the officers should be. And I kind of laid all this out. And I sent it off to people that I thought really had the energy and the vision, the drive to do it. But, everyone's trying to get a job. They're trying to do other things.
They just graduated and they're trying to get their foot in the door.
And it kind of dropped off the map for a while, and tried to revive it oftentimes. And then I became very busy when I started to become one of the main administrators of the school. I wanted to do it, and we ended up having career development department. Well, that should take care of the alumni stuff.
Yeah.
So it became a little bit, I hate to say it, but it became a little bit political. So I decided that this is 3 or 4 years ago that I would do it on my own without anybody's permission. And I had an assistant at that time, Mario Novoa. You probably know him.
Yeah, he's an alumni here of 2000-ish.
2000, and he came and he did the completed program, and then he did a bachelor program at Full Sail, and he graduated from that, was the valedictorian speaker at Full Sail for that internet marketing degree that he got, and he's now the executive president of the Alumni Association. So all that work we did back together, back in those days, behind the door, as it were, kind of paid off, because he caught on to what I wanted to do, and he supported it, and he was one of those kind of people. In addition to being incredibly intelligent and energetic, was a very good human being. When Bill Smith, who was the vice president of education left and the new vice president came in and they started to add programs. I ended up the dean of students, and I thought as dean of students I probably had a little bit more traction to push this through. And it wasn't until like last October that I finally convinced the executive board of the school to let me have it, to let me run with it, to be the official liaison for the Alumni Association. We started out with a series of meetings which were tied into events. Come to this event and then stay afterwards because I want to make a proposal to you. And I put together kind of this really funny PowerPoint where it was all about how we were all going to get together and change Hollywood. And every meeting we would have 16 or 20 people. It was mainly film people at first, but one or two would stick around. So eventually the meetings got to be a little bit more substantive. And then we finally had enough people that we could actually put a charter together. And I took a charter that I'd used for my Carnegie alumni group, which I had kind of helped to push along back in the late 1970s. So I kind of knew a little bit of what I was doing. And we put together the charter, and then we had an official launch, which was last March. Last March. And I worked on that with our Vice President of Career Development, Dave Phillips.
He executive produced Evan Almighty.
Yes, he did. It was a very expensive movie. And he's also a Hollywood agent, so it's a good guy to have out there kind of beating the bushes for our grads in terms of getting work. But Dave was absolutely convinced that the way to get it perfectly launched was to bring in grads who are celebrities. And I said, well, I'm connected. I'll see what I can do.
Right, because you brought in Brandon Trost, who's a cinematographer for Rob Zombie, and the guy from Workaholics now.
Kyle Newacek, who had developed Workaholics.
And then there was the one girl, Nickelodeon.
Ellie Vainstock, who was the music coordinator at Nickelodeon. And we brought in Ari Levine, who was the co-producer of Bruno Mars's music. So we had some pretty cool people, and you were there.
Yeah, I was there. I definitely want to try and get Brandon Trost, because when I was trying to put the show together last year, we had themes for the months, and October was going to be like a big Halloween thing. I was really trying to get him, and he responded, but he's working in Vancouver, and so yeah.
I can connect you up with Brandon. He used to work for me. All these people they were my students, and then some of them, like Kyle and Brandon and Kevin Atkinson, who also came in, had worked here at the school. It was I thought it was an amazing event.
Are you going to do that again next month?
We are going to do it again. We definitely have plans. It will probably be last Wednesday in March is kind of one of the days we're targeting. What we want to do is something that's even grander and bring in more people, do some real honoring, because we've got people out there that have done some amazing things.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I watched the Bruno Mars halftime show on the Super Bowl, and it blew my mind. Just the choreography of the entire production is mind-boggling, but he was a real entertainer. And I thought, wow, 1/3 of what he's doing is one of our grads,
Rally Point Radio is brought to you by Shure Microphones. Alumni Spotlight.
My name is George Ohan, Student Veterans of America, chapter president here at the Los Angeles Film School. I'm very excited to bring to you guys a special guest and a special friend, Andre Andrews, everybody. This guy's an alumni member of the Los Angeles Film School. He's a graduate from the LA Film School's film program, and also a very unique thing that he also graduated the animation program. So Andre has extensive knowledge in filmmaking and computer animation. Welcome, Andre Andrews. How are you, sir?
Hello, everybody.
How you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good, actually. This is pretty incredible that you all have this Rally Point Radio here at the Los Angeles Film School.
All right, well, we're going to go through and get to know you a little bit, Andre. Everybody sees your posts. They see your pictures. You're loud on social media. You're here, there, everywhere. I mean, we see you around. Where do you come from? Let's get to know the real Andre Andrews. Where are you from? How did you end up here? Let's get into that.
Kind of from all over, to be honest with you. I originated in Newark, New Jersey. That's where I was born and raised pretty much most of my life. So I was about 13. Then I moved to North Carolina, where I went to high school at. That's kind of pretty much where I found myself. And then after high school, I graduated, and then my military career began. So I think that's where my life began.
Did you have a good childhood, would you say? Did you have a decent upbringing, or was it crazy all over the place? Tell us about that.
Actually, coming from North Carolina, I feel like I got a little bit of a lot of cultures. I wasn't too far down south. I wasn't too far from the north. It got real cold in the winter. Like, my morals come from, a good southern background. kind of with a dash of city of New Jersey.
When it came time to join the military, was it a tough choice between the Army, the Marines, Air Force, Navy, or were you one of those guys that were like, nope, Navy, I'm walking in, and that's what happened? Go through that experience for us.
At first, I was being recruited by the Air Force. Crazy. I didn't do that bomb on my ASVAB, but I really was kind of really interested in going to Air Force, because I like airplanes. So that's kind of what my military aspiration.
When it became time to figure out which branch you were going to go to, was the decision hard to make, or did you know like Marines were the coolest or the Army, or how'd you decide on where you were going, and why'd you make that decision?
I was originally going to go in the Air Force, and I really had a dream to be a pilot. That's kind of what my military background was leading me. But then I seen the Navy recruiter one day as he came up to the high school, and he just really told me about the traveling opportunities. And I think that's what got me the most. I like to move around a lot. Me wanting to be able to travel, that's what kind of got me interested in the Navy. And I went to the Navy. I had the time of my life.
What was your job? What was your MOS or your rate in the Navy? What did you do there?
My job in the Navy was supply department. I was an SK on two ships, USS the Raven and USS the Sullivan. USS the Raven is a minesweeper. It was deployed in Bahrain. That's where I got my overseas experience at, being stationed on the Raven. So after the Raven, I went to USS the Sullivans, and that's kind of where I really got to travel and see the world, because the minesweeper was stuck in Bahrain. So being stuck in Bahrain, it was hot all the time, and we went up to Iraq a couple of times to clear some mines out. So it was a very unique experience being out there in the desert and having a ship desert experience instead of a land desert experience. But I still got to see a lot of the world. Then when I went to the destroyer, being a supply department, I kind of see a lot because the ship was a lot bigger. You got to interact with engineers, you got to interact with the fire controlmen, the sonar personnel, and the people like the quartermasters. So if people in the Navy know what those rates are. So I really think going in the Navy was a phenomenal opportunity.
That sounds like filmmaking. It sounded like a collaborative art a little bit.
It is. Kind of working with a lot of departments really kind of got me used to on this film production side. So that was a big help.
Were you one of these guys that grew up as a little kid knowing you wanted to be in the movies, knowing that you wanted to be a producer, a VFX guy, a CG guy, a director, a writer? Or did you kind of just develop this going further and further as you developed as a man, as a person? You kind of figured out, this is a career that I want to get into. I do want to get into entertainment. At what point did you realize you wanted to be in Hollywood? Because you originated over on the East Coast, you joined the Navy, and you were not over here on the West Coast, and all of a sudden you want to be in Hollywood. What gives?
I got out the Navy in 2005. When I got out the Navy, I started behind-the-scenes production work, physical production work for Alonzo Mourning Charities in Miami, Florida. And that's kind of really where it got my stage production, my stage management, kind of coordinating process together in my head. I really got to be hands-on with a lot of the vendors, order a lot of parts. Just my MOS pretty much was in the military. So I got to carry that work experience, that real-world experience back home when I got out the service. So me starting in Miami, I was always loving to watch television, and I love watching movies, especially big visual effects movies. I really figured out, how do I get closer to the movies? And I really realized that just doing production work down in Miami wasn't cutting it, because the film market's not down in Miami. So where else is the film market? So I pretty much packed my bags, came out to LA with $300, and I really say, let's begin this career.
Hey, people get to Los Angeles and all of a sudden your head's spinning and you're like, dude, what set was I on? Where did I end up? Where am I? What's going on?
It's crazy.
How fast did that happen for you? You show up, you're at the Los Angeles Film School, you're a veteran, you're about to start your education, and then all of a sudden you've graduated with 2 degrees and you're about to go to work. How hard was it to find work? Where did you go to work? Tell us about that.
Trying to get work in Hollywood is really knowing about what do you want to do. You really need to be focused. As a wanting to be a producer in this industry, it's tough because you kind of got to see the project in the big picture, not always in a department. It's a lot of people that want to be editors, want to be cinematographers, directors even. It's very difficult to want to do all of that. But working as a producer, you need to know all of that. So that was, I figure, the job for me doing production work where I previously came from. But it's like, how do I do production out here in the film business? I felt like I needed to know what film is before I can kind of know all the departments. So that's why I came to LA Film School and went to the film program. graduated film program, and I really need to know more about the visual effects aspect because that's where the movie industry going. People don't necessarily always realize it, but I'm trying to just wrap my head around it now. So I completed the animation program, and when I got done with both those degrees, I kind of was looking around like, really, what's next? But I was very fortunate to stay well connected with a lot of positive people here at the LA Film School who really helped me with my next phase of my life when I graduated LA Film School. So, people like Amber Shaib in the military department downstairs, and a lot of the people in the production department helping us upstairs get jobs. Elaine Checketts, Kevin Bannerman. It was a really good opportunity to kind of be involved with those type of people, and they helped me get a job. I landed my first job at TV4. That's kind of really what got me started.
Television 4, they're kind of known for new media. They do a lot of different stuff with YouTube, Hulu, Amazon, all kind of online HD content creation, stuff like that. I know you were over there doing a lot of stuff with their SEO, their search engine optimization to get videos views and all these different things. You excelled as far as doing the editing and being a worker over there. After you completed that, you felt like you grew, you learned a lot of things, and once you've grown to a certain point, you have to move on. What prompted your decision to move, and where have you moved on to after Television 4?
My time at Television 4 was an incredible experience. I really feel like getting involved with a startup company could be one of the most scariest things you could possibly do, but also one of the most exciting things you could possibly do. It's being a small company, but with a big idea, you get an opportunity to be involved with a lot of departments just in any kind of project that you're working with. So having a small company, 4 of us from the Los Angeles Film School actually got a job there. So it really was a phenomenal opportunity for all of us. So working with those people just kind of helped me grow. And being at TV4, I learned distribution. I learned a lot, like George says, search engine optimization. It was crazy seeing so much content come in at a mass scale. You don't normally get that opportunity unless you work for a bigger company. And by TV4, the CEO of TV4 coming from Hulu, and that was his background, and they coming from Relativity Media, it's a really good opportunity to see some powerhouses come together and start a phenomenal startup company. So it was a great situation for me coming from TV4 and getting the technology experience and also set experience too, because they was doing a lot of physical production work at first. So doing a lot of physical production work, they had me doing some green screen work, compositing work over there. I was actually doing a lot of editing. So learning these different capabilities in the film industry gave me opportunity to kind of grow in a vast way. So when the time came for me to really decide what else I wanted to do in my life, I got the opportunity to get a mentor from Amber Shaib. She really set me up with this phenomenal mentor named Aaron Perry that worked for this big 3D company I consider called Stereo D, and that's kind of where I currently work at now.
Okay, Stereo D is really a phenomenal company, and they've worked on some of Hollywood's largest projects. And to be part of that legacy now, be part of that team, I'm excited for you, being my friend and seeing you go over there, working all that. Tell the folks out here that might not know Stereo D, what type of projects do they work on?
Stereo D is 3D conversion company. Some of their previous projects currently was Pacific Rim, they just got finished doing, and they worked on some amazing other projects too. Avengers, Thor. They also worked on Jurassic Park, and one of my best favorites is Titanic. So coming from that history, it was a really good opportunity to be able to work alongside people like Aaron Perry.
What an awesome lineup to just be surrounded around the guys that created that. You get to pick their minds. I mean, the valuable thing to me is you're in a room and you get to listen to these people having these conversations about how to do that, when to do it, the type of issues that come up and how do they work through them. What is the workflow to get from one end to another? I mean, you're now at such a professional level, so quick in your career. I'm really excited to see this thing go in the direction it's going. We haven't mentioned yet the organization that you are the president of here in Los Angeles, Vets in Tech, Veterans in Technology. This thing is huge. I see a lot of vets excited about it. I see them talking about it on Facebook, tweeting about it, Instagram, everything. Why don't you go ahead and let some of the veterans in the Los Angeles area know about Vets in Tech and invite them out to our next meeting?
Vets in Tech is, what can I say? It's tough to really describe. Almost like a dream come true. Having an opportunity to connect veterans in the technology industry. Being a veteran and knowing visual effects, my community is kind of small. So I was really trying to just see how I can gather us together. I was really, seeing some other great organizations out there that was connecting a lot of veterans in a phenomenal way. Veterans Film and Television. Without Veterans Film and Television, my God, I don't know where I would be at or a lot of other veterans in the film industry out here right now. So it was a really good opportunity to kind of plant some seeds there. And from there, just really helped me build what Vets in Tech is today. Vets in Tech came from San Francisco. Catherine Webster is the founder up there. And I just really reached out to her and said, how can we get the same opportunity down here for veterans in the Los Angeles area? So she gave me the opportunity to really organize Vets in Tech in LA and what it is right now. Vets in Tech is 3 E's: entrepreneurship, education, and employment. And just with those core foundations, we see that veterans can come together and help mentor each other. Veterans can come together and help each other get jobs. And we just help get a couple veterans jobs right now at Stereo D itself. So it's a phenomenal opportunity working at Stereo D. And after our event at Stereo D a few months ago, we got a couple of veterans jobs there. So it was a really good opportunity to be able to be a part of that and see that situation grow and see what we just was an idea. And in George's car one day, just really turned out to be something great. So here we are getting veterans work in the industry and doing what Vets in Tech want to do. So that's our opportunity to really give back. And to me, be a part of that is an incredible experience. And to be a veteran in this industry, I don't know what other great experience that is.
When's the next Vets in Tech meeting, or when's that going down? When can people come and see you or be a part of this if they are a veteran here in the Los Angeles area?
My next event is February 3rd here at the MoFo facility on Wilshire Boulevard. So you can find Vets in Tech on vetsintech.co, and you can also find us on Facebook at Vets in Tech LA. Join our group. Hopefully you can come out here. And in March, we have a phenomenal event here at the Los Angeles Film School for you all. So we hope to see you at that event too. So stay tuned for the date.
If somebody's listening right now and you're a veteran and you're somewhat interested in technology, I highly encourage Vets in Tech for you to go out there and definitely take a look, network, make some friends. Andre, we're going to be wrapping this up. Give me a couple of sentences, a couple of pointers, words of wisdom. Somebody's new, they show up, they're a veteran, they just EAS, they ETS, they just got out of the military, and now they show up in Los Angeles. First day at the Los Angeles Film School. Couple of just quick pointers that you think will set them straight. Let's have it.
I'm going to start with stay focused. Don't let nobody tell you what you can't do. You can do anything you set your mind to. Don't let nobody tell you no. Keep pushing forward. I feel like if somebody closed one door, you're going to have to go knock down another door. But you got to keep moving. I don't feel like you should stop. You got to be doing a lot. Don't just do one thing. Always stay active. Stay positive and keep going. If you're a veteran, there's a lot of opportunities I have for veterans. So be looking out for the opportunities that everybody give you. There's a lot of them out there. So just stay focused. Please stay focused.
Thank you so much, President Andre Andrews of Vets in Tech. We greatly appreciate your time, alumni at the Los Angeles Film School. And this is George Ohan, Student Veterans of America, Chapter President for the Los Angeles Film School as well. Thank you for joining us here at Rally Point Radio.
Thank you, George. These next two interviews are from last month's Veterans and Technology meeting that was held at DreamWorks Studios. Now, the first clip, you may be wondering about what's going on with that background music. And when I first heard this, I was like, did they tape this at a retirement home? Does DreamWorks have like an entire wing of retirees? I'm not sure what's going on with the background music in this, but if you ever go to DreamWorks and hear it, shoot us a message here at Rally Point Radio, which you can do at rallypointradio@gmail.com. Take it away, George.
This is George Ohan, Alumni President at the Los Angeles Film School, Student Veterans of America, Hollywood chapter. Please tell me your name, sir.
My name is Brett Lynch.
How do you feel as far as veterans getting into the entertainment industry or getting into technology? Do you think it's a good transition, or what can they best do to prepare themselves for that transition?
I think that it's a great transition, especially if somebody's passionate about doing this job. I think that based on our military background, that getting into a technological position in film and television require some structure, which you get from the military. And there's always seems to be a systematic way of doing things since the beginning of television, and that's where we do well as military people.
So that brings up a good point. Organizations like VIT, the Veterans and Technology, when they do an event like this, what should people do to prepare for a networking event, and what should they expect to get out of it?
The biggest thing I've found that you need in this industry all around is to have a goal. I think most of us as military veterans, you get out, we're used to being jack of all trades. As in the military, you have to be able to jump from job to job and be able to do just as good a job. But when you get in the civilian world, start getting into this industry, people will help you as long as you have a specific goal to go. Don't just say, I want to go into any door that's open, because then they see you as not having a clear goal. So I'd say make your goals clear and do as much research as you can on your own prior to seeking help and asking questions, because there's a lot of tutorials, a lot of free websites out there that will help veterans.
Great point. So I heard that you're a former Navy SEAL. Coming in as a Navy SEAL, do people actually care about that, or you still have to go through every bit of what everyone else has to go through?
I was a Navy SEAL. I was in the military for over 12 years, and I got out because I had a parachute accident, and that kind of ended my career. But to answer your question, as far as do I have to go where everyone else does, yes, I do. In fact, I've been in the industry since 2006 and started acting, and then went to school for film and television production and directing. And so I felt I've been at the bottom of a totem pole across the board. So even here at DreamWorks, because I don't have any animation on my background and resume, I have to again start at another bottom of the totem pole. But again, I think that's where military excels, is because you might be a little older getting out from another career and transitioning into this career, but because of our ability to prove ourselves, you'll make it through the ranks a lot faster.
Is a group like Veterans and Technology a good place for veterans to kind of start and get their foot in the door as far as building these relationships?
Yes, Vets and Tech is a great way to get into the industry. What I see how they're trying to structure it is teaching as much as you can to the vets prior to trying to seek the jobs. I think the networking is outstanding because across the board you're getting vets from all industries and all experience in life. So there's a lot of knowledge within Vets and Tech. Again, like I said before, is if you can network and meet as many people as you can and have that internal support, it's only going to help you when you get out and try to look for a job.
I'm here with Jeff Wyke, Head of Research and Development with DreamWorks Animation Studios. Sir, can you tell me what an employer is typically looking for, what the veterans can do to better their odds and their chances at entry-level employment? What can they do coming in such a competitive field?
What veterans can do to prepare themselves for employment, there's a lot of things they can do. One, of course, you have to get your foot in the door. And I think through networking, through looking for opportunities, even opportunities that may not be exactly your destination, but at least an entry point is a good one. At DreamWorks, had a lot of people that start in the mailroom, they start in facilities, they start moving desks or computers, and they work their way up to the jobs that they really want. And they keep their eye open, they work really hard, they impress people, and then those opportunities come.
Terrific. Would you say once a film student finishes up their associate's degree and there's an opportunity to go on and earn an entertainment business bachelor's degree, how beneficial would that be to them in their career here in Hollywood?
Boy, you're talking about the non-technical side of things, I think, and if you already have your associates and you are considering not moving on to finish your bachelor's degree, personally, I think it's important. I think it's important to prove to yourself and to prove to an employer that you can do the work, you can stick with the program, you are invested, you're committed, and you can complete something. So I think that says a lot when someone's looking to hire you.
And there are a lot of competitive jobs out here, and we'll talk about veterans in technology, veterans in film and television. How important is an organization like Veterans in Technology to connecting HR departments of bigger companies with veterans that they normally might not reach out to?
Veterans need a place where you can get together and get help, and the kind of help in networking and in introductions to companies. I was impressed at the event tonight that there were people from human resources from several studios that were present to meet with veterans. If you were on your own, just trying to get an audience with these guys, you'd never get it. But I think by having an organization like this where there's strength in numbers and where you can get people to help organize while you're busy at school or in your other job, it's a real advantage.
How important would you say it is for an individual to really seek mentorship, to go out there and find somebody and basically just beg them to take them under their wing and to learn everything that they can, even though they don't feel like that's going to be their specific end job, that their dream job, but there's something that they can learn from somebody that's been in the industry, let's say 10 years plus. How valuable is that?
You're asking me how valuable mentorship is, and now I'm going to be a little controversial here because going out and finding somebody that's way ahead of you, trying to find out what path they took, what's the secret to getting into that job that he had, it's not a shortcut. If you're going to find a mentor, and a mentor to me is also just someone that believes in you, whether it could be a buddy. It could be a buddy that that you were in the service with. It could be a classmate. That could be a mentor for you. It's really someone who can bounce ideas off of. And it's nice if they've had a particular experience, but especially in technology, it changes so fast. How someone came to that road they took, that road may not be available to you. There may be millions of different roads. And you don't necessarily have to find somebody that's successful in your area. But just if you find somebody that you think is successful, find out from them not the path they took, but what were the things that they had, what are the values that they have that really made them successful, whether it was attitude, whether it was hard work. You need somebody that's going to kick you in the ass.
I love that you're focusing really on what are the characteristics of a successful person and what are their traits, what are the things they do that made them successful. Once again, this is George Ohan here at the DreamWorks Animation Studios. Thank you very much for listening.
Instructor's Corner.
All right, and welcome back to Rally Point Radio with my guest, C. Michael Bray. Hi, Michael.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. As a native New Yorker, C. Michael Bray began his career on Wall Street after graduating with a double bachelor's degree in marketing and advertising from the University of San Francisco. Currently holds a master's degree and is working towards a PhD in marketing and business sciences. C. Michael began Hitman Records in 1991 and solidified a joint venture with Solar, which is a division of RCA Records. In 1997, Hitman Records obtained exclusive distribution through Corporate Tower Records distribution arm Bayside. The record label then began a period of artist acquisition and development, which focused on hip-hop, rap, R&B, and gospel genres. During this period, C. Michael represented well-known and established artists such as Samuel, a double platinum and Grammy award-winning singer from the R&B group Club Nouveau, Mac Moan, former member of the double platinum group Digital Underground, and Johnny Paycheck, who has produced 6 gold albums, 1 platinum album, 1 double platinum album, and 33 hits. Hitman Records is based in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Nashville, in which its physical titles are distributed through MVD Entertainment, whose affiliates include Best Buy, Baker & Taylor, Ingram, FYE, Anderson Merchandisers, Hastings, Amazon, and Target. C. Michael has taught over 14 years of business courses in the music industry as an adjunct professor at several prestigious universities and colleges such as UCLA, San Francisco State University, University of the Pacific, Dominican University of California, and has conducted music business seminars at SAE Nashville. He currently teaches business entrepreneurship for the Entertainment Business Bachelor's Program here at the Los Angeles Film School. C. Michael has authored several books, including Music Distribution, Selling Music in the New Entertainment Marketplace, which is used in music business courses throughout colleges and universities. Hitman Records has just recently produced Totally Packaged, a new music reality TV show, which aired 13 weeks on CHN Network and is available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon. Mr. Bray has been featured in Billboard Magazine, Music Connection Magazine, College Music Journal, San Francisco Weekly, Black Enterprise Magazine, Atlas Plug, UCLA Bruins newspaper, and the Nashville Pride, to name a few. So after all that, my first question I'm dying to ask you is have you seen The Wolf of Wall Street?
I haven't seen the whole movie yet because actually my son, but he actually had it and I only saw a section of it, but I'm dying to see the whole movie.
Because you are from that era.
Yes.
I don't know if you're familiar with that story of the guy who's it's based on.
Yeah. And I am from that era because that was in the 80s, so I was actually working for Lehman Brothers.
Yeah, and it's like the guy that it's based on, his first day as a broker was Black Monday in 87. It's like, man, what a sign. So you started on Wall Street, but I'm wondering, how do you transition from Wall Street to Hitman Records? What's the process?
Okay, the journey began. What I did pick up from Wall Street was you're always going after accounts. You never take no for rejection. Out of about 100 phone calls, probably only landed 2 calls, or maybe about 5 phone calls that I actually reached the individual. And then out of the 5, I only closed like 1 or 2. So I guess the moral of this story is persistence. I learned persistence, and I also learned rejection and to keep going. So I had an unfortunate incident that happened in my life at that time period. Unfortunately, my dad had a heart attack out of nowhere, and it was totally unexpected. He was totally healthy, the whole 9. It just happened. So at that period of my life, my boss in New York said, get out of here, take a breather, maybe go to California. You went to college out there and start your own business. Make your dad proud. So I used all that
Did you feel like it was time to kind of reassess your life and where you were going and kind of what your purpose is?
Exactly. Before that period, you couldn't tell me that I would never known I would have been in the music industry. I was a Wall Street guy. I was all about money, trying to make money. And it was all about the New York way. You know, I was living the lifestyle. And so, from this incident, it was an eye opener, and it changed me, and I had a new vision, and that was to be an entrepreneur. And my dad was an entrepreneur, and looking at my boss, he was technically an entrepreneur. He started as an entrepreneur before he ended up being with Lehman Brothers. So I used all that, and I went west, meaning I went to Los Angeles. First, I ended up in Phoenix, and then I ended up in LA and ended up in San Francisco. So that was the start of my journey.
How long did it take you from when you had the idea of what you wanted to do with Hitman to when it was actually a reality and setting that whole company up? How long did that take you?
Actually, believe it or not, it took for it to come to fruition, it took about a year. Literally, it was a mistake. In other words, I ran into a gentleman named Grady Harris, and at that time they didn't have CDs, they had cassettes. And he was on the cassette, his picture. I'm like, you don't sing. And he said, I know, I have a group and they sing. So I was very curious. I was like, what is this? And who Sounds of Soul Records? And he said, it's me. It's my label. And I was very intrigued. So to make the story short, I said, wow, I'm very interested in this. He said, why don't you come over? So I went over his house, and in his house, he had an Ensoniq keyboard. And I'm like, what is going on? He said, this is it. I made the whole album on this on this keyboard. So I was like, what? And so he said, let's go out. Let's get something to eat. We go out to get something to eat, and then he takes me to the store, little hole-in-the-wall store, and it was a mom-and-pop store, and we walk in, and the gentleman says, hey, Grady, I owe you some money. And then I'm like, what's going on? And I could see there was, in the shelf, there was a little rack, and he had 5 cassettes in there, and I'm like, wow, I was blown away, you see? And the guy paid him, and he replaced the 5, he had 3 cassettes, and he placed it in there. So I'm like, what is this? And he said, that's consignment. And so that's how this whole thing, it got me so intrigued. I said, listen, I have some money set aside from Wall Street. I made some money, and I'm a visionary, and I can write business plans. I know business. And I'm saying, if you're looking for a partner, I'm excited. I would love to be a part of this. And so it was kind of a mistake. That's how this whole thing started. And so then from there, I started looking for office space downtown Oakland, and we built a studio. We built a small studio, and we started advertising, and to our surprise, we got so much response from it. We had a lot of rappers, we had R&B singers, and our rates at that time were $75 an hour and $50 an hour for a block of 8 hours, and it was incredible.
What was your advertising strategy at that time?
You won't believe it. It was classified ads. They were cheap. We placed the classified ads in the Oakland Tribune. It was incredible. I think at that time it was like, for 1 month, it was like $25.
Oh, wow.
It worked incredible. I mean, we couldn't hold back. It was so many artists. It was incredible. And so what happened was we started making money from the fees. It covered our lease. But then we found out there was a wealth of great artists and great talent. So we actually signed some of the artists, you see. So we were making money from the studio, but at the same time, we were like, wow, wait a minute, this artist is really good. Let's sign them. And we started building up our distribution from that standpoint. So the whole process, it started from getting the office, converting the office into the one section to a studio, placing ads. It just worked. I'm not saying it will work now in today's time, but we took advantage of that time period in that region.
That's an interesting time period too, because that was the start of going from tape to digital.
Yes.
Did you find that to be a difficult transition? Were you able to save money going to that? Was it a learning curve? I mean,
it was all of the above. It was a learning curve. We did save money because analog is pricier.
Right.
But some of the challenges, or I don't know if we call them challenges, we were so used to the warm analog sound, 2-inch tape.
Yeah, it's like even with film and 35 millimeter, that's what they say. It's just a different feel than what you get it from a digital copy.
Exactly. I want to share a fun story on that point. It was such a different age. Back then, since it was analog, we would go to the studio. Even before our studio, we would also go out to other studios. In those studios, they had 2-inch tape, but before you recorded on the 2-inch tape, they would say, did you bring your 2-inch tape in? So you would have to go to stores. Back then, let me see, I'm trying to think of the stores. Guitar Center. Before Guitar Center, they had different stores, and you would buy the 2-inch tape there. It was very pricey. And so you could go, you're always late running to these studios. So you go to the studio and they say, guess what? Don't worry about it. You can lease it from us. so they would record you. Your music would stay with them until you come back, until you finish the project, and then they would bump it to 1/4 inch.
When you started doing digital, did you find that there was a lot of time saved because of that format? Because with tape, you're dealing with calibrating the machine.
Yes.
It's like all this other stuff that you have to buy in order to work with tape.
Yes.
Digital, it's just there.
It's there. It's so much faster once we went that route. Well, we went from the 2-inch, and then we went to the ADAT period. That was, it didn't jump yet to digital. It would jump to ADAT. And the ADAT there's 3 different ADAT machines that were 8 tracks each. It was incredible. The sound was incredible on ADAT. But the problem was when you align all 3 up, they would never align up at the same time for your 24 track when you were working that. So you always had issues. It would take hours to set that whole thing up or for it to sync up. And so then finally, after the ADAT period, we went into the world of digital. So it was so much easier.
When you went to digital and you started saving money, did that allow you to expand your business?
Yes, we had more, because of the cost savings, we were able to put more money into advertising. Advertising during that time period is what we call co-op or cooperative advertising. We would, through our distributors, add co-op advertising where we can buy ads in the Sunday, let's say Sunday paper on the back. It'll say this album is exclusive at Best Buy or Target or Tower at that time. And so we could buy advertising through there. Also, it costs what we call product placement. When you go into a store, you see that bin there, you pay for that. You pay for that position. So we had extra funding for that set aside. So yeah, it helped.
Now into like the mid-90s, we have the internet coming in. And do you hire somebody else just to deal with that, or do you expand your promotional department, your marketing department to deal with it? How did that change your business?
That's dramatic, because everything right now, where we're at on the scale of the numbers right now for about 2014, it's 60% digital usage in music and 40% is physical content. So everything now is geared towards digital. Physical's still here, 40%, but for the digital side, we have to promote it through the internet. You're right. And we outsource that to specialists. So we pay fees. There's companies that we use. There's different companies that we use that would pay like $190, basically $200, and they'll do a blog. They'll blog out the album to several different sites and things like that. So it's worth its weight in gold, I would say. We use college students. We have a college rep program nationwide. It's still effective. It works. Usually it's a college student that lives on campus, and they promote our music. They actually walk it in to the station on campus, and everything's done now. Some college campuses still have they still play CDs, and they also play digital. So they basically kind of promote our product on campus through the radio station and off campus. So we still have that program. That helps with the branding.
And I take it you're constantly looking at new ways to get your artists out there. Yes. And I'm wondering, like, once you started implementing the internet, what other ways that you had gotten into as far as technology with getting your artists out there?
Glad you asked. The newest thing right now that we're involved with is digital download cards. And this is an exciting platform. But notice, digital download card will do you no good if it does not report to Nielsen SoundScan. It's all about SoundScan sales. So CD Baby, I love them. They're owned by Discmakers. Discmakers they actually have a card. However, the problem is SoundScan, they don't really honor it in terms of downloads. It works for a club or a show, and you're giving away the cards, but it doesn't report to SoundScan. And there's only been a few companies that were up, and we found out within a year or two, they dismantle or they go bankrupt. So it's very hard to find a manufacturer that makes these cards and they have a relationship with Nielsen SoundScan. Well, good news. We have a manufacturer in place, and Hitman is the distributor for this manufacturer, and that manufacturer is called iDiddy. Their website is ididdy.net. But this company manufactures these cards, and you can put the artist's artwork on the front. On the back, there's a scratch off. And once the fans download it, scratch it off, and they download the music, it's reported to SoundScan, which is incredible. And you can charge whatever you want for these cards, and they're about 89 cents per card. So that's the new platform we're going for, because it's first of all, it's cheaper to manufacture, one, and it's supported by SoundScan.
Now, that is awesome. I love living in the future.
Right.
It's just a fascinating time to be.
But it doesn't end. I got to tell you this, Art, because these cards they gather the emails of all the fans.
Oh,
you see?
Nice, yeah.
So now if our artists are at a show, we can film them at the show, and we can upload upload it to an app, and we can shoot it out to all the fans' emails, and they can see the show or the music video. It's ongoing. It's a residual effect. It keeps going. So that's incredible.
And it almost seems like now it's like your only limit is your imagination to get your artists out there. It's like you got so many opportunities and so many platforms. How do you, but the thing is, how do you make your artist stand out from the pack, given all the saturation now that's coming in?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. Some hard numbers just to let you know. What we try to do is push with the new releases that we have coming up. Our job is to push the numbers. It's all about pushing the numbers. To get radio airplay, it is a phase. It's very tough. So you have to build campaigns. The first campaign you should start out with, which I recommend, would be going through CMJ, any of the CMJ College Music Journal reporting college radio stations. There's about 700. So then that's one campaign. You would send out your music digitally to all those music directors at those CMJ reporting stations. You build a campaign, and hopefully it sticks somewhere and you get airplay. The second campaign is any of the schools that support it. If it's Ohio State University, let's say, in Ohio, that's in Columbus, then you would go, if it's an alternative rock station, then you go for the commercial alternative rock station in Columbus, show them that you're getting airplay on the CMJ trade, on the CMJ reporting radio station. Hopefully they will help support it. So these are phases, and that's all you do. This is part of a campaign. With that, you have your CDs out there. You also, through Amazon Advantage, which gets you into Amazon, you have multiple distributors, and you have your digital campaigns that we try to do is we put out e-blast campaigns supporting, hey, this is available on iTunes. We go through the Orchard and also Mondotunes. Those are great music aggregators. So it's a series of campaigns that you're constantly putting out to support the album project. Also, I got to add, with the digital cards, if you sell 2,000, I want to say about 2,000, you will end up on the charts, on the bottom of the chart.
Oh, man.
So that's how you try to build a campaign so that you get some numbers. You reach a goal to make the bottom of the charts. If you can make the bottom of the charts a Billboard, then the residual effect is other stations, meaning other music directors, see you on the bottom of the charts. Hopefully, you'll get some leverage to move up the next week. Also, buyers see you on the Billboard chart. That's how you initiate record sales into select retail stores. So it's all these efforts. It's like a huge campaign. It's a series of campaigns that you're doing left and right to make it happen.
Yeah, that's what I loved about your class. It's so strategic. It just doesn't happen overnight. You really got to have a team and build it up.
Yes.
And it's so much work.
Yes. And at the end of the day, I got to say, even if you don't make your goal, the concept in the music industry, even film and TV, is to constantly keep continually.
Yes.
So that album
and
doesn't
keep
end.
the momentum going.
Exactly.
It's so important.
Exactly.
So what's up next from C. Michael? What are you working on now?
Okay, it's exciting. We're working on continuing the television show, Totally Packaged. We were on a regional network, CHN network, as you mentioned, but now we have partnered up and we signed a contract with EDJ Productions, which this company is our film company. They are the production company for the NBC TV show Fashion Stars. So I don't know if you've seen that show.
I have not seen that show,
It is
but
great.
It's like there's so many shows that so many instructors are involved with. It's like, oh my God, now I know that instructor. I've got to see this show. It's like I have a personal investment to see this show now.
Yeah, you got to see it real quick. That show is fun. It's just basically designers. They're all designers. Those are the contestants. And what they're doing is they have mentors, and these are top industry designers. They're mentoring them. They're giving them advice. They don't have to take it. And then they have a panel of judges. Well, get this. The judges are buyers from H&M, Saks Fifth, and Macy's. And if they like the product, their designs, they'll buy it into their stores. That's how you win the game. And so we're affiliated with that. So they want to somehow maybe cross-pollinate or cross-market or some of the elements from their show into our show.
I'm wondering, since you started teaching, you started the business program teaching here when it started up, right? You've been teaching business entrepreneurship all that time. And I'm wondering, when you see students who come through the program and, advice for them when they're just starting out here, kind of how to go about, having the right headspace and not burning bridges and being professional and the key important elements it takes to succeed in this program.
Yes, and I've seen all walks of life that come through here, not just here, through everywhere. But what's interesting is I think the key is to come in here, you have to have the mindset.
Yes.
That's where it starts. It's the mindset. And we can't hold your hand. We can give you all the tools.
But it's up to you to really take advantage of what's available here.
You are so right. And you said the key word, take advantage of it.
Because there's so many opportunities. It's like even with your background, the knowledge you have and the experience you have, and you're just one instructor. I mean, we're going to be interviewing instructors every month.
Yes, I'm just one. You have lawyers that are instructors. They're in the industry. All of us. I got to say, Hal Lieberman did a fabulous job because, Hal is the ex-president of Universal Pictures.
NBC Universal,
incredible. And so has assembled all the instructors that are
an amazing team,
and
a lot of lawyers,
and everybody. Not only are they instructors, but they are still in the industry. They're still working on projects, and that's the advantage point.
It's like, I got my associates in the recording program, and even those instructors are still working, and their backgrounds are incredible too.
And that's the key when I want to say, when students walk into the classroom, what we try to do is give you what's happening right now. This is the current trend.
Very up-to-date information.
And as you know, in my class, I will give you shortcuts to show you.
Yes, tricks of the trade and all that, just invaluable information.
There it is, yes. And so you have to be willing. You got to take the class serious. But in the class, as you know, in the class, it's bigger than just the class and the classroom. It's bigger. These projects, how you act in the classroom is how you're going to act in the real world. That is so true.
Describe for me what you do for your final presentation, because I thought that was awesome.
Okay. For the class has an awesome final presentation, which they're divided up into multiple groups in the class. They have to pick a product, a service, and once they identify the product or the service, then they have to create name of the business. And then they have to create teams. So they have to tally up their teams, and then they have 4 weeks to come up with this product, shoot it, write a business plan, marketing plan, create a one-sheet, have a mock-up product or real product, and present it in front of panelists. And I bring in judges that are industry people associated with whatever the industry that the students come up with, whatever the service or product is. And so then they're in front of the panel, and they got to pitch in front of the panel like Shark Tank.
Exactly like Shark Tank. And these are people that it could take years to get in front of. And you're in this program at this point, you're month 10, I think.
Yes.
Which is like right past the halfway point. And you're getting time in front of these people in month 10 of the program instead of being out there really trying to hustle your way into it.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember, this was a couple classes back. I brought in Tess Taylor. She's the president of LA Music Network. It's a huge organization. So she liked both groups so much, she pulled out $200 bills and gave them to each one. She just said she was so impressed. But we have industry people come in. Some of them are affiliated with Dick Clark Productions, and I've had students tell me that they have pitched in front of Dick Clark Productions because of this class.
And you tend to tailor the judges kind of based on the projects too, right?
Yes, because it makes sense. And the students usually are kind of in class. They're all competitive, and that's great. But they're like quiet, and so sometimes they'll groups will be outside of the classroom. But then once I find out what their product is, because they don't want to give away trade secrets and things like that. But once I find out what their product or service is, then I try to match it with the judges to make it real exciting.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, no problem. I enjoyed it.
I did too. I'm sure we'll be seeing each other in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
This is Art Holmes for Rally Point Radio. We are out.
Featured guest.
Thank you for joining us here today at the Los Angeles Film School. I'm George Ohan, the SVA President, Student Veterans of America at the Los Angeles Film School chapter. I would like to introduce everybody to Mr. Kevin Major Howard, also known as Rafterman from Full Metal Jacket. Kevin has been staying busy here in Hollywood on many, many different projects within the last 25 years, working with such names as Frank Sinatra, Clint Eastwood, Charles Bronson, Ron Howard, and the list goes on and on. Kevin really started getting more into this headshot photography business that he has been very successful at, and really he's reinvented the headshot industry. He believes that the eyes are the window to the soul, and so Kevin, when taking these headshots, he's not just trying to take a glamour shot. He's really looking to capture a glance, a nuance that brings an image to life. He'll focus on your eyes to tell your story, and that's what casting directors are looking for. Kevin has a bunch of simple philosophies, simple anecdotes that he lives by, and talking to him for 5 minutes, you'll be able to experience that as well. He's got a very very, very deep passion and love for the United States of America and for the veterans and for the heroes that make this country what it is. And because of that, Kevin has founded an organization called Fueled by the Fallen. And you can check them out on fueledbythefallen.org. And it basically has the National 9/11 Angels Memorial Cars. So Kevin has put together these 5 vehicles with all of the names of the fallen victims from 9/11. And this is a traveling memorial that goes across the whole United States that people can check out. We've got to hang out the last couple of days. It's been a wild ride so far. So I was really excited to get you in here today and do this, especially for our first show coming into Rally Point Radio. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for the invitation.
Tell me, first of all, before we really jump into this, because I've got about a million questions for you. There's a lot of things people want to know, and we're excited about all the things you have going on. Before we get this thing started, tell me why you would even consider coming and speaking to students or veterans or, people that are new to the game, essentially new to Hollywood that want to get in here. Why do you feel it's important as a veteran in Hollywood to come back and give us some advice and give us some pointers?
When I came here from Canada 28, 29 years ago to be an actor, I was lucky enough to go to a school called Sherwood Oaks College. It was a nonprofit organization, and they brought in A-list talent to teach these classes. Steve McQueen, Lucille Ball, Paul Newman, the list went on. So I believed in what they were about at that moment, passing the craft on to the newcomers, the new generation of actors. I've been blessed to have the opportunities I've had as an actor in this career. It's been passed along to me, and perhaps if I can pass something on, then it's a win-win for everyone, I think.
Let's talk about the inspiration that somebody that's currently working in Hollywood, what does that do to you being the new guy from Canada? You show up, you're in Los Angeles, and you're like, wow, there's Lucille Ball or whoever it was at the time. What type of inspiration, even if you don't have direct conversation or you're not getting direct words of wisdom, you're seeing their interaction, you're seeing them in a group of people, what does that do to a young new actor or filmmaker in this town?
What it does is inspire and re-inspire the dream you have. I mean, now you're sitting up close and personal with these A-list talents, and you're getting a chance to meet them one-on-one. You're getting a chance to have simple conversations. And the fact that you can reach out and touch that kind of talent or be touched by that kind of a talent only gives the hope to an actor for his tomorrow's dream to get up and rise out of bed early and create your own conquest.
Okay, I love that. So I feel like I kind of had a similar experience when I started seeing people that I've seen on television. I'm like, oh, it's that guy. Oh, it's that lady or whoever it was. And it just kind of put things into perspective as far as maybe this isn't so out of reach. Maybe this isn't such a pipe dream that they thought it was in Fresno, California, where it's far away from Los Angeles, or you don't actually see that on a day-to-day basis. So I definitely see where you're coming from on that. Let's talk about a little bit about your childhood. Everyone's always interested, like, where did this guy come from? How did it happen? What went on? We were talking a little bit yesterday, and you were gleaming up. You're very bright-eyed and smiling and excited to talk about it, so let us have it.
I had a great father who was a pianist and vocalist all of his life, self-taught at the age of 4 years old. In fact, he had snuck into the church, he had taken a piece of paper, and he actually copied the keyboard of a piano onto this piece of paper, took it home and put it on his dining room table, and then used his fingertips and his vocal cords to express what he thought he was teaching himself through this piano. So he would vocalize everything. He was a real gift. In fact, my father was a singer. He sang in speakeasy in New York City. Harry Belafonte walked up to my father one night and said, "Hey, Mel, you got to teach me how to sing." My father was one of Cap Calloway's lead singers on Broadway at the age of 18 years old. So it was through him and his artistry and his magnificence that he inspired me as a young man to be passionate, compassionate, and reach for the stars. So he set my journey forth. I became a young actor at about 15, 16 years old through a high school. A friend of mine, we did plays in school, and lucky enough, there were some agents in the crowd that said, "Hey, let's go to work." And I went to work immediately. I did print work, commercials, some film early on. And then it was decided that January 1st of 1977, New Year's Eve, I approached the new journey of coming to Los Angeles, California on my own to seek out fame and fortune, as they say. And the rest has been just a blessed opportunity of great relationships with a lot of great actors.
I love how you speak about your father. I believe I have a very close relationship with my father as well, and he has been my hero and my inspiration in this path. And, the things he used to tell me as a young child, I knew were important, but as getting older and older, becoming the man that I am, I start to realize, man, this guy was giving me the answer just 20 years ago. Yeah. 15 years ago, he was already giving me the blueprint for these things. And you told me something yesterday that really kind of resonated with me was the thing about shooting for the stars and the golden apples and all that. And tell us about that.
You know, my father was always reach for the stars, change the world somehow, Kevin. You know, if it's been done before, figure a new way to do it. And he said, and likened it to this story, you know, Kevin, there's this golden apple tree, and it has the golden apples that everybody's reaching for and struggle to reach for. But if you use your imagination and you reach for the stars, then the golden apples are so easy to pick off that tree, and then you can hand those off to those many that are really reaching for that, and also inspire them by reaching for those stars once again.
Love it. Love it. Let's talk about your arrival to Hollywood. You get to Los Angeles, and I know for my family, we got here, and it was, whoa, what happened? Who are these people? What's going on? Are we on a movie set? I mean, everyone's weird, and there's these things happening. Tell me about your experience. You know, what went right? What went wrong? What could you have done better?
Well, you talk about naive. First, I drive in the middle of the night. I'm driving towards Los Angeles. Didn't even look at a road map, just went. So it was by instinct. I ended up on Hollywood Boulevard, and funny enough, I had pulled up in my vehicle, and I rolled the window down, and I said to somebody, I said, do you know where Hollywood Boulevard is? and this was, I was directly parked right in front of Man's Chinese.
Oh, yeah.
And they looked at me kind of peculiarly and said, hey, you are actually, this is Man's Chinese Theater. I said, okay, so what's Man's Chinese? And they said, you're on Hollywood Boulevard. And I went, oh, okay. But that's how naive I was when I first got here. Palm trees, the weather. You know, I'm from snow country, and it was just a very different experience. And this was sometime in January 3rd or 4th, whatever it was that I arrived. So to see a land with this kind of weather, temperature, palm trees, people just walking in the glorious shorts that they're wearing and the tank tops, I went, wow, what an extraordinary place to come to. So that's kind of where it began.
Was there ever another choice? Was there ever another thought of a career path? Listening to yourself and Pixie Monroe yesterday talking at the table, you know, we're hanging out in the backyard, and you guys were both mentioned the word fortunate, blessed, great life. I mean, over and over, and we're not sitting around a pile of money, but we're sitting around each other and enjoying the company and having a great time and really sharing these stories and these human experiences that you have. And that's what I'm finding that I really connect with more in Hollywood is these relationships, the people that I've met. You know, you get a lot of these stories like, oh, everyone's a jerk in Hollywood. Oh, everyone's shady. Everybody's this. But that hasn't been my experience. I'm actually meeting really great people. So at what point did you decide, you know what, this is for me, this is where I belong, and I'm going to do whatever I can here in Hollywood? So that career choice, when did that come?
It's an interesting story that, well, let's go back to New Year's of 1977. My mother said, Kevin, your brothers and sisters are coming over to the house. I need some help moving the furniture around. It's my mother's birthday and New Year's Eve. And so I went to the home, and I was sitting there. I hadn't seen my sister in about 3 or 4 or 5 months. We're very close, but at that point, we're just young adults going our directions. And my sister sat across from me. She said, hey, Kev, how are you? And I said, good, Kim, I'm good, in this kind of demeanor and tone. And immediately, for some unknown reason, I burst into tears. Where did that come from? As I went to the bathroom and I looked at myself in the mirror and I go, what was that all about? I dried the tears out. I walked back out of the room. I sat back down in a chair. My sister looked at me. She says, Kevin, are you okay? Did I say something wrong? I said, no, Kim, I don't even know what that was about. And immediately I burst into these tears one more time, and I went, wow. I went back to the bathroom. I looked myself dead eye in the mirror. And I said, so what's going on with you, Kevin? And I don't know where this came from, George, but it was like looking at myself, and it was talking back at me and said, Kevin, you're going to Los Angeles today. You're going to go become an actor today. Get in the car and drive. Wow. I go, where did this come from? I hadn't even thought of this.
Holy smokes.
I walked directly out of the bathroom. I looked at my mother, my sister, and my brothers. I said, I got to leave right now. I don't know why. This thing came up. This instinct is to get in the car and just go. Bye, Mom. I love you. Happy birthday. Happy New Year. And I was on the road to a new journey, a new fate.
I'm getting goosebumps, man. That was
and it really wild. It really was that. I mean, when I talk about burst into tears, I'm talking a full-blown meltdown. Wow. For no reason, because I wasn't of that demeanor at all.
Sure.
So I guess it's fate in hand that said, hey, we've been trying to give you a hint, Kevin, for about 4 or 5 years. Now's the day you're going to go. Caught me by surprise. I got in the car. I came. Incredibly interesting journey.
I love the fact that you actually moved on that incident, on that instance, on that experience of life, because a lot of people years later look back or reflect and say, you know what, maybe I did have an opportunity, or maybe I did have this shot. Maybe there was that thing. Oh, yeah, this happened. And as I reflect on my own life, I start to think there's been a bunch of opportunities. There's been a lot of things, but for you to just say, I got to go, and that's it, and it's with conviction, and you really go, that's amazing.
You know, I think there's something to be trusted. You know, actors work from what? Their instincts. Trust your instincts. We are so told that by so many great actors before us. Trust your instincts. Trust your instincts. And so I think I was very in tune with that. And perhaps it was my father who, being that artist, that vocalist, pianist, the gift that he had, he was able to maybe perhaps pass that along to me. And I always have. And I think that, you know, when you do trust your instincts, it's generally right.
What about college students? They always talk about humble beginnings. And I know actors, they have very humble beginnings, a lot of them. Sometimes those humble beginnings go into not so beginnings. I mean, you're working and working. It's not this easy thing. And hey, my name is Kevin. I'm from Canada. I moved to Hollywood, and you better hire me. I'm in the game. And a lot of people, whether it's Wyoming or Texas or Seattle, they move down here and they figure, hey, I'm in LA now. Give me a job. And let's talk about the struggle. Let's talk about the pain. Let's talk about, maybe it's not struggle or pain, but just the humble beginnings portion of it. What did you go through? What did you experience? What did you see? Maybe you personally didn't go through it.
I did go through it to some degree, as any actor will, if he really believes in what his dream is about and he's not from any kind of money background, then you have to fend for yourself. I came here, I didn't have a job. I was a dual citizen, so I was able to get a job. Immediately I got 2 or 3 jobs, and I was working as a waiter out in Manhattan Beach at the Great American Egg Company. I studied hard, I went to class. I would not audition for anyone in the business until I had a hold on, do I know what I'm doing? And so for a year and a half, I studied at Sherwood Oaks College, also with a gentleman by the name of Alan Landers. Not until I really felt confident that I knew what the audition process was. Not until I felt comfortable that I knew as an actor what choices were about and how to make them. Not until I had become that conversation in class where, wow, pay attention to Kevin. He's doing some good work. And at that point, there was a gentleman by the name of Bobby Hoffman, who was a casting director from Happy Days, came to the class, and he took me into Paramount Studios and said, hey, let's go talk to the vice president, Eddie Foy, and see if we can't get you under contract. And that was some of the beginnings. But did I spend time, washing those dishes, shining those shoes, selling donuts? Yes, absolutely. Like any actor, it's not given to you on a silver platter 99% of the time. But if you want something bad enough, you can achieve it.
Very interesting that you come from a background that you knew you had to work for it. There was not this gimme, 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 why me, oh, woe is me, I deserve this. You don't have this sense of entitlement that I see with a lot of people, and it's very apparent. And this isn't just brand new. This was from the 70s and 80s and from wherever else it's been generated from. You didn't just make this up yesterday. And what I also think is interesting is the fact that you mentioned the training. You yourself knew, I'm here in Los Angeles, I'm here with these other actors, I'm here with these other people, and I really have to step my game up. I got to step up my skill set. I have to be technically proficient. I got to be tactically proficient to go over there and engage these producers and casting directors the way a professional would. As naive as you were to just say, all right, forget it, I'm going to LA, when you showed up here, you knew instinctively or whatever it was to say, I better get some training and I better get right before going and jumping into this. So I feel like you did it the right way, and I think it's very inspirational, and the knowledge could be used by a lot of people. Hey, here's a guy that you've only seen working, but you didn't know he spent 2 years of his life training himself up before he even put himself in a position to be in front of a casting director. Let's talk about some of the people. This career, this industry, this place, it's not for everybody. How do you feel about people going home? You come here, you didn't make it, and is it okay to go home? Just what's your take on it?
I think a lot of actors come to this city. I think a lot of people in the film business come to this city, and they want to be what it is they want to be. However, they don't do the work it takes. To be an actor, it's got to be in your heart, it's got to be in your belief system, and you've got to absolutely make that commitment. With me, it wasn't a hard commitment to make, it's just something I understood. But to new actors coming into this city, you'll find them working as a waiter for 3 to 5, 7 years later, and I meet those actors and I go, what's going on with you? Why haven't you got your SAG card yet? You've been here for 3-5 years, why? And within them, you'll actually see the mechanism of defeat going on in them. It's like, let's even talk about headshots for a second. Actors will go out and seek out headshots, not for the purpose of the headshot and what it needs to do for the actor. They actually calibrate choosing a headshot photographer simply by the cost. So a lot of actors will hear, well, I had my friend shoot me. Really? And you think you're going to impress Mr. Spielberg, who gets paid $30 million to play with a camera? He's an expert. You cannot fool an expert at his game. Yeah. So then I look at that same actor and I go, why would you do that? Why do you get a friend to shoot you? Oh, it's free. Yeah, but what has it done for your career? You've been thrown in the garbage how many times because your headshot really doesn't qualify for a Mr. Spielberg experience to say, oh yeah, that actor has it together. You see, actors need to figure out too, a headshot isn't just a headshot. I can tell an awful lot about the history of you simply by your headshot. I know when somebody is being mediocre. I know when somebody is being excellent. I know when somebody is shortchanging themselves. So you're not fooling anyone. So to those actors who are sitting around in those restaurants working 3-5 years, I would love to have been their coach. I would love to have sat them down and said, let's relook at what your tools are. Because simply your tools are telling you who you are to the people that are hiring. And if your tools aren't diamonds and they're really coal, then you need to stop chasing it that way and let's start turning it into a diamond somehow.
I like that, to really look back at yourself and take the responsibility for your career and say, am I doing the right things? I always like to tell people activity does not include the results.
Exactly.
You know, just because you're doing stuff doesn't mean you're getting anywhere.
Exactly.
And I think especially now with social media and everything like that, well, I was on Facebook all day. I'm like, yeah, but you're just clicking like on everyone's picture. You're not out there hustling yourself or your product or service or whatever it is. I want to talk a little bit about accomplishments. In the film industry, in the entertainment industry, I think it's unfair to the talent. I've always thought this since I was younger growing up. I'm like, how come the people get to say what they love about you when you've worked on something and you really love it? And I experienced that early on. I made a project, everyone hated it. They're like, dude, what the hell is this? And I didn't know what to say to anybody. I was like, screw you, man. You know, I love that project. I had a great time working on it. I met a lot of great people. They're still my friends. The project sucks. Okay, I get it. But that project happens to be my favorite one. What have been some of the accomplishments, your own personal accomplishments, that you really feel like, hey, I hit this milestone or I did this and I'm proud of this? Let's talk about a little bit of that.
You know, there's a film called Scared Straight, Another Story that I ended up doing, and they actually had already cast the gentleman to play that role. But I had gone in to see a casting director by the name of Linda Francis over at 20th Century Fox, who worked for the two biggest casting directors in town, Mike Fenton and Jane Feinberg at that time. She believed in my work, and she phoned up the producer and director on that film, which they had already started filming, a week into it, in fact. And she said, I need the producer and director to fly in here and meet this Kevin Major Howard kid. I think you're going to be excited when you see him. And they asked me to come into my audition to meet them after they flew in from Arizona. And they said, what we'd like to see is an improv. And what it is, the improv is about, is that you are in a prison, you're 16 years old, you're considered an adult, you're in adult prison, and you're about to commit suicide because you're being raped for cigarettes, and it's just way overloaded, overwhelming to you. You will be committing suicide. I said, all right, let's go. Within 3 minutes of the audition, literally they were scraping me up off the floor. I was broken. And then they looked at each other and said, let's fire the other kid, let's put Kevin in this. And the reason why they did that was, they said the first 20 minutes of our film really relies on this character that you're about to play, Kevin. And if you don't do to the audience what you just did to us, then the rest of our film won't work. Now, I attribute that kind of work, and that it's some of my pure work, is because I was young, inspirational, youth was on my side, I would reach for the stars again. And if you want to see what it looks like when a man is getting broken down to put a noose around his own neck to commit that suicide, I'll bring it. And that was what was exciting about that particular film. And then you have to look back at a Stanley Kubrick Full Metal Jacket and go, but look at how blessed that film was. Sure. Still to this day, critically acclaimed. Still to this day, opens doors. So for those kinds of reasons, each film has its own place in my heart about what went on. Like you just said about yourself. There was a film you loved personally and nobody else may have liked it, but it was your commitment to it. And I think that's exciting.
I like the fact that you are so committed to the craft and you went for it. You knew the level that you had to come at them with. You couldn't half-step it. You're here in front of a director, you're here in front of a producer, and you literally left it all on the floor.
Exactly.
And there's been so many casting sessions that I've sat in, and I've loved the guy or the girl or whoever this person is for the role, and I'm rooting for them. I really want them to do good because I feel like this is the person. But also at the end of it, sometimes I feel like they didn't bring it. They didn't do what I feel maybe they were capable enough of doing, but they didn't quite take it there. They didn't want to open up. I don't want you to see me that vulnerable. I don't want you to see me that open. So what made you decide at that point that you were going to take it there? How did you build yourself up to that?
You know, my father, again, I keep bringing my father up. He has a lot of influence in at least my career and my life. But my father always said, Kevin, when they ask you to jump, you just ask how high. I think that's really important behavior of conversation because when I would go out to these auditions, one of the grandest things I enjoyed the most was actually the audition process itself. I knew that casting director, producer, and film were going to sit in a room and watch 40 new actors walk into their office. Now, 40 actors walking into their office, I wanted to blow the doors off of these executives. I want the doors blown off. So when I'd walk in, I'd already done the work the 40 actors had already done. We all studied the same script. And I think the difference between me and them them was this at this moment. We'd get the script today, the sides, and then by tomorrow, 24 hours later, we'd be in that audition. I knew that those actors would want to get at least 8 hours of sleep to look good for that audition. Well, then I considered that sleeping on the job, because while they were asleep for that 8 hours, I was still working on those sides, which means I had more information when I walked in about that particular character, those particular sides. So when 40 actors walked in, everybody was basically doing the same kind of work, talented work, but because I spent that extra 8 or 12 hours working on that same script, all of a sudden I had 8 hours of more information, and all of a sudden the director, producer, and the cast started looking and going, where did that come from? Well, that came from my dedication to get you excited, that you'd look back at me and say, where did that come from? And then it was easy to explain. They were asleep for 8 hours and I wasn't. I'm working for you. I want this job to be exciting for you, for the production you're making, that we all win here.
Right. You love the process. Okay, you don't hear, actually, I think this is the first time I've heard it. This is the first time I've heard an actor in Hollywood say, you know what, I love the auditioning process. This is the most nerve-wracking part of it. So what really stuck out to me when you said that was, a lot of people look at things that they have to do as a task versus a skill.
Right.
So the best way I know how to explain it is social media. Because people are not good at it, they look at it as a task, as if you're taking out the trash.
Right.
Well, that sucks. You don't want to go do that. So if you look at audition as, oh, this is a task, I have to do this if I want to be an actor. Instead, you're looking at it as you're just having fun. This is cool. It's part of being an actor, is going to this audition and blowing people's shorts off with my performance. And so you approach it that way and just having fun. But because you're having fun, and I think that's why you can go that 8 hours and it's not really work to you.
It's not really work. It's an excitement of the process itself. You know, I guess when you leave a room, you want to impress somehow upon those you've just touched that the world has changed to some degree. Now, how do I do that as an actor walking into an audition process? I want your jaws to drop because I just brought something new you were not expecting. That's up to me, my life experiences, and my instrument to be able to get to that place. I never went into the audition trying to get the job itself. No, wait, let's just stay in the present moment. We're here in an audition process.
Right, okay.
Forget the job, forget the job. Let's just do this work because this work is exciting.
That makes sense.
And then what happens after that is because the work is so exciting to them and everybody else in the room, all of a sudden go, hey, put Kevin on the job.
Okay, I want to talk now a little bit about present day life. You are a busy guy. I've seen it firsthand for myself. And I've been there when you've taken a phone call, going from, sure, yeah, I'll call you right back, to, Jason, go do this. George, grab that. Hey, you go over here. And all of a sudden it's game time. And it was 1 second later where you were just chill Kevin mode. And now it's bop, 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 all these different things going on. And then, okay, let's light a cigarette and hang out for a little bit. And all of a sudden we're back on the computer checking out 50 images for what the next poster or flyer or whatever event you're working on. And just everybody here has to wear a lot of hats, but you wear a lot of hats.
Well, you know, I have a couple of careers that are going on. One besides the acting, one is also headshots. My work has been shown and featured on Oprah and also the Discovery Channel. John Cleese, Mally Finn, casting director from Titanic and Matrix, and Elizabeth Hurley have talked about my work as a headshot photographer as being the best in this country, if not the world. Again, I'm not about mediocrity, and for actors especially, actors, don't be about the mediocrity. If you're in the game and you need a tool called a headshot, be it the best you can ever get your hands on. I don't care how much it costs you. There's always a way to achieve brilliance.
Where can people check out your work?
Just go to kevinmajorhoward.com. It's right there.
kevinmajorhoward.com.
And it's exciting work. And I can't tell you how many actors I have touched with my camera over the last 30 years. They went to work immediately. You know, I've heard stories that Michael Caine and Anthony Hopkins and Francis Ford Coppola told actors with my headshots, do you know why you got this job? And the actor would look and go, no. Look at your headshot. You see, that one frame, that headshot is more than just a headshot. It is one frame of someone's movie that you're explaining to them. How are you on screen? What's your persona on screen? Can you deliver on screen? Can you get people's attention on screen? And then I have a very passionate thing. I love the heroes of our land, those that wear these uniforms, whether it's the military members, Marine, Army, Air Force, Navy, and I love the police officers who wear this uniform. These are heroes in my world. And so I started a nonprofit 7 years ago called Fueled by the Fallen. And that came about simply because in watching our television screens every day in our homeland, we would learn that 12 were killed in Iraq and or Afghanistan, 2 the day before that, 5 even the day before that. And these heroes would get nothing but 3 seconds in our lives, their name being explained and what happened to them on our television screens of America. And then I found us all waking up the next morning like it never even happened. We all became very complacent. Oh, a hero died. You say, oh, that's so sad, honey. Make sure the kids get to school, okay? And so when you have heroes fighting for our very freedoms, I think us as American people really need to stand up and really support them. Don't say you support them, but really support them. Because they have families as well. They've got children and wives sitting at home who are struggling, and for us to throw them out on the street when their husband's fighting in the battlefield or wife is fighting in the battlefield is shameful of us not to take care of our own. Fueled by the Fallen began with the first Marines Memorial Car, which on that particular vehicle carries the names of 863 Marines killed in Iraq at the beginning of the war. I followed it up with the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, all the branches of service. Every hero who paid the ultimate sacrifice's name are on these vehicles. And then it became the 2 black and white cruisers, police cruisers, for every police officer killed in the line of duty since 9/11 to present date. The 5 9/11 Camaro Angels are called, and that is the complete history of 9/11 on 5 vehicles. First vehicle is the first responders who fell at ground zero, followed by 2 trade towers, everyone's names included on these cars, followed by Angel 4, which is the Pentagon with Flight 77, then rounded off with Angel 5, the flight victims. We first unveiled these cars on the lawn of the U.S. Capitol on the 10th anniversary. President Bush Sr. then invited them up to his personal home where he blessed them on their way to New York. And then New York did the most incredible thing. They actually placed these vehicles at the feet of the Statue of Liberty. And I got to tell you, too, it was my very first time seeing the Statue of Liberty in person. So what an extraordinary moment that was.
This can't be cheap. How does this get funded? How do you even do all this? Are you looking for corporate sponsors, or what kind of help from the general public? What things can help you? Is it parts? Is it cars? Money? What makes this project happen or continue on? This isn't something new you're trying to do. You've done this. You've accomplished this. President Clinton, I've seen pictures with Jay Leno, President Bush. The list goes on and on and on. We can sit here all day of the people that love this car, this concept, this project. This is level 2 now. You're doing it again. Yes. So what does it take to make this thing keep going?
Well, I built the first 21 cars, and now this new series, this Ford series, Ford platform, is all the cars remade today's year, 2014 cars, 2015 cars, and it is a united fleet that tell the entire story again, as I said, all the way up to Boston. What do I need? So I'm looking for corporate sponsors who says, yeah, I need 13 Ford Mustangs, or it can be individuals, or it can be a collaborative effort of all of us. Even if it's a $10 donation, let's get together, let's make it happen, because Boston Marathon's coming up in May, ladies and gentlemen, and this is most important. It is passionate. It is defining of who we are as Americans, and I guarantee you, as I've seen with the cars that I have now, any street of any small town, city, and state I have driven with these cars, I guarantee you it is nothing but standing ovations from the civilians of our cities who see it coming upon them, and it's just nothing but glory.
I can even see these things as being really cool Hot Wheels,
Yeah,
toys made out of them. This truly is a nonprofit organization.
Yeah, on March 6th, at Specialty Carcraft on Los Cienega Boulevard, we have an evening for our heroes, a salute to our heroes, and we have some celebrities who will be coming out March 6th from 6 to 10 p.m. We have Lou Pizarro from Operation Repo, Richard Grieco from 21 Jump Street. We got Travis Pratt from America's Got Talent. We'll keep updating it, but please, check into it. Please come out and enjoy the evening with us, simply because we're giving back to our heroes. Come enjoy the evening with us. Truly, truly magnificent. We're going to have Marines, Army, a few of our veterans out there as well. We want to give a couple scholarships away to some children who've been left behind, to a police officer's family who's been killed in the line of duty. But it takes all of our effort together. Come out and enjoy the celebrities. Come out and enjoy the music. It's going to be a great time. March 6th.
So if you are an actor or an artist, somebody here in the Hollywood, Los Angeles area, and you do need some professional headshots, I would definitely recommend KevinMajorHoward.com, just so you can look at the pricing and the booking and all that. And a lot of actors come here to LA and they have their buddy take their photos and they have a hard time and they don't know what's going on. This is your business. So you want to come here, you want to definitely get the professional to take your headshots, and you want that professional to really take this headshot to a casting director that they know, or get it submitted to people that can do something for you as an artist here in Los Angeles. So once again, if you need those professional shots, look for KevinMajorHoward.com.
To all the heroes who are listening, who wear that uniform proudly, I want to say to you personally, thank you so much for my personal freedom. I miss you. I love you. To all your families, thank you.
All right, that is going to do it for our very first episode here at Rally Point Radio. Join us next month as we will be interviewing all women in the entertainment industry. Until next time, this is Art Holmes for Rally Point Radio in the heart of Hollywood at the Los Angeles Film School.
Are you interested in being a future guest on Rally Point Radio? Contact us, rallypointradio@gmail.com. Do you have any show ideas or general comments? Contact us, rallypointradio@gmail.com. Are you a current student at the Los Angeles Film School and would like to be a part of the production team? Contact us, rallypointradio@gmail.com. This has been a production of the Los Angeles Film School's chapter of Student Veterans of America.